100% of the revenue stays right here in the lovely province of Alberta. And use the promo code SUMMER. Because guess what? It's summertime. So use the promo code SUMMER. You get $50 play in casino or game betting. Check it out at playalberta.ca. Hey, we got a great show for you today. Man, this is like the start of a real heat wave here for the next 5-6 days, man. Anywhere from 30 up to 34, 35 degrees again. So hydrate. Get the sunscreen on. And please, for the love of anything, don't leave your kids or pets in the vehicle. All right? I always say, would you leave yourself in the vehicle? So if you wouldn't, why would you leave anybody else? Doesn't make sense to me. On the show today, we will hear from Oilers assistant GM Keith Gretzky, and we'll get some thoughts. Of course, runs the American League team, done a lot of pro scouting. Well, where do they? The trade that occurred yesterday, how do they feel Robbie's going to fit in? TR will be by. We got Dave McCarthy joining us as he always does every Tuesday. We'll hear from Jed Roberts, former member of the Edmonton Elks, of course, still the all-time franchise leader in special teams tackles. Grey Cup champion. Get his thoughts on the defense. Elmondo Sewell is the new defensive line coach. Now, I saw him on the sidelines last game, and I kind of caught my eye. And today, now I know why. Because he has taken over as Nate O'Neill has resigned as the D-line coach. Now, was he part of Chris Jones? Maybe. Does he not see eye to eye with Shivers? Well, I guess maybe not. But either way, Elmondo Sewell is in on the D-line, and hey, imagine if they could get a player like him. That guy commanded double teams all the time. And then still would be probably the strongest D-lineman. Well, maybe Doug Peterson between those two. God, that would be an unreal strength off. If that's even a word between those two, it would be interesting to see. Also, we'll hear from Speck and the Elks president and CEO, Rick LeLacheur, who made the decision yesterday to relieve Chris Jones of his duties as head coach and GM. And how much closer are they to having a deal on the sale of the green and gold? We'll find out from Rick coming up at 5:20. Today, we're also going to stop in either Chicago or Detroit. We're just looking to finalize that here today as we continue to go around the NHL. So as always, we'll get your thoughts, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our E-Well inbox. We'll get your thoughts on a variety of topics. By the way, what'd you think of the home run derby last night? I love the new rules, man. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. Now, I know that it didn't start off how people wanted. Country star Ingrid Andress was singing, and it was a tough one. What's interesting about it was, hey, I find most people who can't sing, you can hit the high notes and they don't sound very good. Right? I could do it right here, but I don't want you to drive in the ditch. Okay? Singing, not really my forte. But you know how, I don't know if she was trying to hit the Star Spangled Banner, you get the pitch and you're thinking you're Whitney Houston. Mariah Carey? Right? Hard to do for most of us. And she sent out a tweet today, social media post as well. Quote, "I'm not going to BS y'all. I was drunk last night. I'm checking myself into a facility today to get the help I need. That was not me last night. I apologize to MLB, the fans, and this country I love so much for that rendition. I'll let y'all know how rehab is. I hear it's super fun." Well, not sure it's fun, but it can be good. So if indeed that's the case, you got to check yourself in. Wish you all the best. What's interesting, though, about that, so does getting drunk work opposite for good singers? Because there's a lot of bad singers who get drunk and suddenly they're, hey, I can sing, get me on the mic, and you're not bad. So does it work the opposite? Anybody out there who's a good singer? Let me know. I know a lot of bad singers who have a few pops and suddenly they're a better singer. So it's an interesting change where if you're a good singer and you get buckled, like, and the other thing about that is how many musical acts do you think you've attended in your career who are singing buckled and weren't that bad? Now, this is different. It's not a country song. So maybe it's just out of tune, out of rhythm. I don't know. Deck, do you sing at all?
Listen, I like to sing. You know, big shower guy.
Okay.
Big singer in the car.
Karaoke?
I've actually never been to karaoke. It's not something my friend group really does.
Really?
Yeah,
So,
I would love it.
Yeah, a guy who sings and you've never been to karaoke.
Well,
What is going on?
Hold on. I think saying I sing is pretty good. I like to
Yeah, that's what I mean. It doesn't mean you're good at it. You never once said you're good. You just said you like to do it.
Yeah,
So
the worst ever.
what
I'm so aware of that.
what do you sing though? How do you know you're the worst ever? Because remember that your voice inside your head sounds different. Maybe you should sing and we'll let the audience decide.
No, I could do it. I've been in cars with people and road trips with my family that I've song a little bit.
Okay.
Big Rocky Casbah guy, always like to sing along with that one. Hurricane by Dylan, one of my faves. And
Really?
Yeah.
You're singing Hurricane by Dylan?
Well, I just love the song. Right? So I'll go with it. I can't sing to save my life. I honestly I like to think I'm pretty vain. I like to think I'm pretty good at a lot of things. I might be the worst singer in the entire city. Honestly, it's pretty bad.
Come on. What did it sound worse than Ingrid last night? Like what? Do you hit the high notes too high? What is it?
I try when I'm singing along with the Clash, I like to hit certain notes for a little inflection.
I think we need to hear like an example here.
Maybe coming out of next break.
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, we just, you know what? I think it's fair, right? We can all see, because I don't think maybe you're not as bad as you think. The next,
I like it.
All of a sudden, might find yourself at OTR for karaoke night.
Listen, if Dr. Wang wants to have me, I'll happily be there on the marquee headlining the show. But it might be a one and done kind of situation. I might drive business away. They don't want that.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? I've seen lots of as Tyler says, you might be the songbird of our generation. You never know. It's true. You never know. Like, who knows? Maybe this could be like the live version of Edmonton's. You've got talent that maybe you don't know you have.
Like Dale when he starts singing in his room and Step Brothers, or Brennan or whoever it was. It might be like that. I don't think so. I
Could be a surprise.
Like I said, I'm a pretty vain guy. I have a lot of confidence, but I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, and that is certainly one of them.
Hey guys, what are the chances that the Anthem singer is a lip syncer and she couldn't hide it last night? Ooh, the conspiracy theory. I'll be honest, I'd never heard of Ingrid Andress until last night. And I was surprised now I didn't watch it live, of course, because I was driving home from the show. And when I got home, my son had mentioned, Dad, you need to listen to the Anthem singer. And that's all he said. And I was like, oh, usually, he'll point out things that really impress him. He's not really looking at that. And I was like, okay. So I turn it on and I'm just like, what is happening here? That was a tough go, right? When you look at Roseanne Barr, no one first of all, she's not a singer, right? She's spitting, she's doing all of her other things. That's fine. And there's been singers sometimes who change the cadence, right? They draw it out, put a whole new different flair on the anthem, which I'm not really sure that's what the anthem's for, but whatever. Last night was just a case of, gee, I'm not sure she's a really good singer. Right now, I know she came out today and, said she was inebriated. But I want to know any of our singers out there, because I'm a firm believer, maybe it's the opposite. Right? It's like the Costanza effect. If your natural instinct is wrong, then doing the opposite is right. So maybe us non-singers, we get a little intoxicated. Maybe we loosen up. All of a sudden, we're a little bit better. The professionals, they sing. All of a sudden, they get worse. They're inebriated. I don't know. It was odd. You don't think Ozzy performed a tad inebriated at times? A few other bands over the years? So I wish her all the best. Hope it works out. Maybe it's just maybe it was just the song. Who knows? But that was a tough go last night. I'm not going to lie. That was the showstopper. Now, about the actual home run derby, I loved it. I love the new format. I think it's fantastic. Comes right down to the wire, literally a foot. Literally a foot. Probably a little bit more than a foot, for being completely honest. So either way, Teoscar Hernandez, former Blue Jay, first member of the LA Dodgers, wins the home run derby. Now they'll have the All-Star game tonight. And we all know this. Anybody who follows sports, baseball's All-Star game has the chance to be the best because it's a non-contact sport. Like hockey, football, basketball, they're not going to be running each other. They're not going to be going 100%. In baseball, you're the starting pitcher. You're like, all right, come in. I'm throwing for 1 inning. I can throw hard. Batters, they can swing hard. It allows you to play as close as you can to the game because it's non-contact. It's very easy. So it makes it good. So. Hey boys, how piled up does one have to be to have your voice box not work? Heck, so well. Obviously, I guess a little bit. I don't know where she was on the scale of inebriation last night. Clearly she was, right? She checked herself into rehab today. So obviously it's not a one-time thing, right? So you wish her the best. I just found it unique that a singer gets inebriated like that and all of a sudden can't do it. Guys, confidence is great, but singing takes skill and technique. One drink, multiple, and you start losing the focus. Well, maybe, or it could be right. For some people, other people, I guess it all depends on how inebriated she is. Who knows? Hey, guys, if we're talking worst anthem singers, Carl Lewis has to be at the top from I'm Not Greg. Oh, gosh. What was painful about Carl Lewis singing was that Carl Lewis believed he was a good singer. That's what was painful about that rendition. Like, you watch it, and you've got guys in this, and like, they got putting their mouth into their jersey, which is a classic. Like, hey, no one's going to know I'm laughing if I cover my mouth. Right? It's like, hey, let's turn our back around, and my shoulders are heaving up and down, but no one can tell I'm laughing. Oh my God. So good. So, honestly, that was not the highlight of it, which was nice. I really like the new rules. So let me know, 833-401-1440. What are your thoughts on the new home run derby? I know instantly it's like, hey, do you think they can make the NHL skills competition better? Well, it's hard. Number one, there's not really like one event that you can do in hockey, right? Like, you have the skills competition, but it's multiple different events. There's not one that you can do where it's like, hey, let's see how many slap shots they can take in a minute to see how hard they'd go. Like, I don't know. It would kind of lose its appeal a little bit. Right? Like, it's hard, I think, for any sport. Like, the 3-point shooting contest is the close. Well, slam dunk's pretty good. But, and it's funny how the home run derby from year to year, it doesn't seem, people are like, oh, I seen a home run. It never really gets boring. Whereas the slam dunk competition, if you've seen a good dunk, it's like, well, I've seen that before. I'm like, yeah, but we've all seen the ball fly to the park, and people don't seem to get as annoyed by it. It's just odd to me. Like, I love the slam dunk competition. I think it'd be hard to come up with a new dunk. But, like, for these guys, because you can't say, well, it's not hard to dunk because they're dunkers. I'm like, yeah, well, do you think it's hard for these guys to hit a home run? Not really. Right? They're getting a pitch greased right in for them, but it's still hard to hit it out. Right? You gotta hit the sweet spot still to get out. Like, last night, I'm not even sure if I saw one opposite field dinger, which obviously I understand why they're not swinging opposite field. So. $216 833-401-1440. Hey guys, I can confidently say many rock bands perform at least a bit tipsy, potentially. Right now, that's the thing. There's a little bit, and then there's obviously a lot. that you have a major problem and you got to go to rehab. And so we're not mocking the rehab part. Hope she gets help. But that was somebody in her inner circle must have known she had an issue beforehand. Right? Be surprised if she's just showing up solo. That would be odd. So it's a tough one. But you know what? Because she owns it, everyone's like, okay, good luck. That's why when the people who make the errors don't own it, right? Like when you make a big public gaffe like that, I don't know, like politicians, for instance, if they ever just own it, probably a little bit better. But she owned it and that ends it. And people are like, all right, geez, wish you best of luck. Way you go. Tried to have a little sense of humor by saying, I'll let y'all know how rehab is. I hear it's super fun. So I guess she's got a sense of humor. When we return, Keith Gretzky will join us. We'll talk about yesterday's Oilers trade. A minor league deal, of course. Xavier Bourgault, former first-round selection of the Oilers, is now a member of the Ottawa Senators, along with Jason. The Edmonton Oilers are getting the second-round selection of the Ottawa Senators from 2022, and we will see. He did not play since January. Of course, had a knee injury. He has 50 points, including 23 goals in his last 62 AHL games. Those are actually pretty good numbers. So where is Robbie Jarventi? How close is he? We'll find out next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 37. Oak Island mosquitoes don't believe in personal space.
certain things now change all of a sudden. For years, never would have thought that. Now, anytime that song comes on, all I think about is them going down the highway, right? Missing the turn, Max falling asleep, and the next thing you know, they're off the beaten path, and their life takes a big change. Turns out to be good. Not to be a spoiler, but it's a good movie if you haven't seen it. If you have a youngster, you should. Let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Hockey Super League, a premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development, offering borderless hockey, including provincial and cross-province competition. Check out hockeysuperleague.ca for more information. As we welcome to the program, Assistant General Manager of the Edmonton Oilers. He's also the GM of the Bakersfield Condors. Keith Gretzky joins us. Keith, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm great. You ever karaoke?
Maybe when I used to play.
Yeah,
the old days.
Did you have a go-to song?
No, you know what? We did a little bit in San Diego when I played there. I was like, I think 21,
Okay.
22.
Yeah.
Then.
All right.
Maybe.
Okay. So
Maybe the odd time on a Monday night.
On a Monday night. Well, yeah, that's the best time to do it. Right? It's the best
exactly.
time. Yeah.
Nobody's there.
Yeah. But so you didn't have a go-to? You would just kind of go random, whichever song was floating your boat that
random.
day? Okay. I like
exactly.
it. Did you ever have a teammate who was like a really good singer?
You know what? I had one guy I played with in Flint, Michigan, named Victor Poza, and he did Elvis. He was really good. He had the guitar and everything.
Ooh.
He was the entertainment.
Oh, okay.
That
Hey.
was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's funny. I went to during the trade deadline. I ended up going to Flint to see a game there, and one of our scouts introduced me to his son. So I told him, I asked him, I said, does your dad still do a little Elvis? He goes, of course. I said, good. Tell him I said hi. I said, that was when I was like 20. So it's the good old days.
Now, when you were in Flint, was Don Waddell a teammate of yours?
I lived with Don. I got sent down. I want to say in maybe late February from Rochester.
Okay.
And he was the player assistant coach back then. And it's funny, Rick Dudley was the coach.
Okay.
GM. And so, there's like, I want to say 6 weeks left in the season or whatever. And Donnie, after about a week, said, why don't you just move into my house? And I said, sure, not a problem. His wife, Cheryl, I knock on the door again on a Monday night. And she was like, I want to say 7.5 months pregnant. I said, I can't move in, like you're going to have a baby. Oh, no, we'll be done. We ended up going to the finals. They had the baby, and we always, see each other, and we giggle. And yeah, I played with him for a year. And then he was, I believe, in San Diego when I was there with Rick Dudley.
Okay.
And yeah, I know him from, that's way back. I was telling when Ken used to talk to him about different things, and he goes, did you play with Don? I said, yeah, I lived with him. So we always had a little chuckle.
So it's funny when you look a guy like that at that point, Keith, like here you are, you're both, he's a GM, you're an assistant GM. Like, did you ever, were you ever a guy who thought about management when you were playing at all?
No, you know what? Back then, especially with Donnie, he was player's assistant coach. That was like the old days.
Yeah.
And you never really thought of it, but you think about it now, and Don was very smart, and he did the little things of management type things that and talked about the game and stuff like that. So, go figure. And he's been a GM in the NHL, so great on him.
So Keith, the trade
it shows you though.
Yeah.
It shows you you never give up. It doesn't matter what league you start in. And we've had guys in the old, in the East Coast League that make it to the NHL. That's what it's about. Yeah,
100%. Keith Gretzky joins us, assistant GM of the Oilers, GM of the Bakersfield Condors. And Keith, I'm sure you were working with Jeff Jackson and Bill Scott. It's kind of collaboration with that trade. Xavier Bourgault goes to Ottawa, Jake Chason, and you guys get in return a second-round pick from 2020. Tell us a little bit about, for Oiler fans who don't know a lot about Robbie Jarventi, what is it that you like about him that you felt, is worthy giving up a guy like Bourgault?
I just think it was, maybe both players have an opportunity. They have skill. I just think that, Jarventi is a little bigger and our pro scouts really liked him. And he's had some games in the NHL and he's still a good prospect and same with Xavier, their prospect. And maybe it was time for a little change. And we feel that we got a really good player in return.
He had the knee injury. I'm assuming, obviously, you make the deal. Everything's good there. You're expecting him to be ready for camp? Yeah.
We've done our homework and, everything checks out and it was a knee injury, but he'll be fine. And it's a new year. I talked to him the other day. He's excited. And I said, hey, if you don't make the Oilers, it's Bakersfield's a good spot. You're going to play a lot. And, you look at, Dylan Holloway, when he came down, he played a ton. He was a different player when he went back up. He was more confident with the puck and, less mistakes with the puck. And that's what the American League's about.
You look at a guy like Jarventi, he's a little bit bigger. Now, I looked at his last 2 years in the American League. He scored 25 goals and 50 points in 62 games. Like that's pretty good season for a young guy, which was really kind of a combination of 2 years because last year he only played 22 games before the injury. He had 9 goals and 20 points. So you've seen progress in his development, Keith. And like, if you had to project, is he a guy, like, is he a banger and a crasher a little bit more? But with his skill, I see 25 goals in 62 games. I think, hey, the guy can probably score too. So what do you project him at potentially?
I see that. It's a skill, it's hard to score.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's the NHL or American League. And, you ask your nephew, many times, it's hard to score in the American League. And when you can put up his numbers, it shows he's a very good prospect. Is there areas that he's got to work on? Of course, it's like anybody. It's play without your puck, and you got to get stronger and get heavier. And, it helps you in the NHL. And that's what the American League's about. And the one thing we do is we have a good program. We know what we're doing. You got to get stronger. And, we teach you to play without the puck. It's easy to score the goal, but, you can't be on and causing goals against because, that happens in the NHL. You'll be sitting down and next move is you'll be back down to us. So, I talked to him the other day. He's excited and he's ready to learn, and it's a new lease on life for him too.
You look at your team, and we had Colin Chalk on last week, and you kind of have a sense. You look at the roster in the NHL, and it's a deeper roster than really they've ever had before. So there's a few spots that are, I think, going to be open for competition, more so down the roster. So a guy like Raphael Lavoie probably feels he's really close, and I think Matty Savoy comes in realistically with the center depth. He's probably going to start in the American League. But Keith, do you kind of put lines on a whiteboard? Even at the American League level, knowing that, okay, if this guy stays up, then we're going to have this guy, or if this guy stays up, we'll have it here. Do you go through your whiteboard with Colin Chalk in the summer, or do you wait until, training camp and it's down to the final few cuts? You know what? It's you project that, hey, you might get this guy and maybe not get this guy or lose this guy in waivers or whatever it is. You got to be ready. I know, not to pencil people in and say, hey, you haven't been given a chance, but that's why you have training camp. There's surprises, there's injuries, whatever it is. But you know what? For most part, we're ready. We have guys that we believe are coming down, and like you said, this is the most depth the Oilers have had. They're cup ready, so kind of you come into training camp. There are jobs to win, but it's up to those guys, of course, to play well and show the coaches and the management, hey, I deserve to be in Edmonton. And if they're not, they come our way and we're ready for them. And, to answer your question, yeah, Colin and I talk all the time and to make sure that we're always, on the same page and getting ready for the guys. And we want to put them in a position to succeed. And, you don't want to put so-and-so together when, one's an offensive guy, one's a forechecker, hard checker, and, not as much skill, but you want to put the players, especially the young kids, in a position to succeed. Keith Gretzky joins us, assistant GM of the Edmonton Oilers, GM of the Bakersfield Condors. Keith, one of the more intriguing players on your team this year is Noah Philp. At the end of the 22-23 season, you know what? He finished with 19 goals as a rookie. He really came on in the second half of that season. Just looked like he was getting more comfortable being a pro. Then he took last year off for personal reasons. He came back. He signed. You know, he's a big 6'3" right shot center iceman. Very good away from the puck. Kind of, what's your expectations in conversations with him? And you know, do you does he need time to kind of get back on track, just timing wise, or could he realistically push for a job here in Edmonton?
Well, you know what? To talk about him when he finished, I thought, like you mentioned, he had 19 goals, and I like to play without the puck the most, and being the centerman, supporting the puck. You know, little things like got to break out your sticks ready on the ice, so it's not up the middle and it ends up on a D-man sticking in our net. I thought he made leaps and bounds on his finish to the start of the year. And, you know, when he decided to step away, it was a little below for us because we saw the season that he had and you know, you're projecting and counting on players. And, you know, for his reason, he talked to us, he needed a year away, and that was fine. That's, you know, we told him the door is always open. And then in Calgary, we had played the Wranglers down there, and we went for dinner, Colin and I. He wanted to chat, and we took him away from where the other guys were, and all of a sudden, you know, he said he's coming back and wants to come back, and we were excited. And, you know, before we got to the hotel, all the guys were waiting for him, and, you know, he's a good kid, and like you said, he's big, he's got size, and he's a right shot, and he had a great finish to the year. So for me, when he comes in, it's taking a year off. So maybe my expectations compared to, you know, pushing for a job, you don't know. You don't know. And I don't want to put pressure on the kid. So, you know, he leaves camp and he doesn't make it, then he's all down. It's, you know, that's why you have training camp. There's surprises and there's always disappointments. So for him, he's just got to come in and have a real good camp. Don't put pressure on yourself. And, you know, he's been away from the game for a year, and if he doesn't make it, then his goal should be to get right back on the horse and, you know, start where he finished a year and a half ago and be fighting for a job and be a call-up guy. And could he do that? Absolutely. But again, it's being realistic, and I'm more of put on the brakes and you know, we've got a good team in Edmonton, and if he does make it, great. And if he doesn't, then, you know, we'll do everything for him to get back up there.
Yeah. Like, you know, timing, everything else, but, you know, he's a young guy. It wasn't an injury, so it's not like he's rehabbing anything.
Exactly.
Right. So there's the physical hurdle he doesn't have to overcome. And, you know, 6'3" right shot defense, right shot center iceman who can win faceoffs and are good defensively, Keith. There's just not a lot of them out there. Right. So that's like,
no, absolutely. And the one thing, like I said, you could put the 19 goals because he's got a really good shot, but I really, really like his play without the puck. I thought that was the biggest improvement, being a centerman, supporting the puck. Like I said, being ready for passes when you don't expect it and getting the puck out. And, you know, if you start on the fourth line in Edmonton, you got to make sure you do the little things well, and that it's not in our own zone for, you know, 30, 40 seconds. So that was the area that I really liked. I thought he really improved on. So to me, there's a lot to like, but I come back to it. It's taking a year off. Like you said, it's the touches of the puck. It's the physical play. It's the little things that you haven't done in a year. But the good thing is, like you mentioned, there wasn't a big injury that's the reason why he was out. So I know he's very excited to play, and we're excited to have him back.
Another player is Gruby, who you signed as an overager out of Red Deer. You know, big, kind of aggressive guy. How would you evaluate his season, Keith, and the strides he made, and what's your expectations for him coming in this season?
You know what? I thought, again, when, you know, you come to the American League, it's a big jump from junior, and I thought he started off slow, and you know, as the year went along, he was penalty killing. He was, you know, out there for big draws. and especially shorthanded end of the game. So he's in a situation to succeed. And, there's sometimes when it fails, but that's why you're there. And I know Colin did a really good job of putting him out there on the face-offs. That was really important. Penalty killing. He became a real big part of our team where I saw big strides in his game. He got more confident, I thought, in the battles and staying in the battle. And, there's not much fighting anymore, but you've got to stay in the battle and compete. And I thought he did a really, really good job. It got a lot better as the year went along. And, the one thing about him is he can play center, he can play right wing, he can play left wing. So he's a jack of all trades for us. He became a very important player because his game grew and he understood that he had to be good defensively. I like him to get a little quicker. His skating has to come, and he knows that. We've talked about it. But all in all, I thought his game really improved as the year went along.
Keith Gretzky joins us here on Sports 1440. Keith, another player that I know I've talked to opposing scouts, people that have just seen him since you drafted him in the 7th round in 2021. Max Wayner has just taken a lot of strides. It was a very raw player. It's one word that many people describe him at, but it's so strong, really gifted player. And he just, with more ice time and more reps, he continues to improve. He's a right shot defenseman. He fits kind of the bill of the orders. They want big guys on the back end. And, he scored 7 goals, 17 points for pretty much, defensive minded guy a little bit. Where do you see his progression as, and maybe, how close is this guy to really pushing for a spot?
To me, Max is what you said is raw. He's a great kid. Not that you draft bad kids, but he really loves the game. He loves to get better. He's improving. I thought Keith McCambridge did a really good job with him. He was, I want to say, out there almost every penalty kill, first or second to go over the boards, and I thought he did a really, really good job. I thought he got better with his stick. There was times his average ice time was, for a first-year player, I believe, was over 20 minutes, and that's without any power play time. He did get a little power play time when your score's up high, and he ended up scoring on the power play. I told him after the game, I said, you need to go tell K-Mac that you need to be on the power play more. He's got a good sense of humor, but he understands you got to learn, you got to get stronger. He moves well for a big man. I thought his play with the puck improved, and it's just keep it simple. Keep the puck simple, make the easy play, get it up the ice, and it's out of your zone. But I saw big improvements in that area. I thought he got the one thing that for me is keep the mistakes less and not have big ones. And that improved as the year went along. But for a guy that's his first year player, like you said, a 7th round pick, I thought Keith did a really good job. There's games he was over 20 minutes a game, and that's without power play time. He's not going to play the power play. He's going to be a shutdown guy. I like him, to be a little heavier in front of the net. That would be an area to improve on. But all in all, it was I thought a very good year for him, and lots to like. Again, it's not a sprint; it's a marathon, and for him it might be a couple of years, but that's okay because there's a lot to like in his package.
Well, one last one for you, Keith. And, you bring in a 9th overall pick in Matthew Savoy, who's turning pro this year. He's a 2-point-a-game player in junior, which I don't care what league you're in. 2 points a game is pretty damn impressive. We know the American League's hard. Offensive-minded guy. How crucial is it for his development to, I'm not saying you lock him in for a certain amount of minutes, but is this a guy who's like, hey, we got to keep his confidence up offensively on power play time? Kind of, how does your approach go into a season when you have a guy like that who's most likely going to start in Bakersfield?
If he doesn't make the Oilers, I've talked to him. I explain what is expected, and I think he's excited. I really do. He's going to be put on a good line, like you said. Early in the conversation, yes, about Colin and I talk about the lines, and in our heads, and if everybody who trickles down, he needs to succeed, and we need him to succeed. And that's up to ourselves and the coaching staff to make sure that he's put in a position that he's going to get ice time, he's going to get power play time, that he's a go-to guy to succeed. And when you being a power play guy, a skilled guy, there's you're not making sense not putting him on a power play. So he's going to play. He's going to get lots of ice time. You look at Broberg and Holloway when they came down, like Holloway was playing over 20 minutes. And it's hard though, because you have 12 players, 12 forwards. And I know the coach is trying to get everybody in. And there's games when, it just doesn't happen. But our goal is to make sure he's going to play. We know the one thing that we've done a really good job, I believe, is that, we put you in a position to succeed. And, you also have to earn it too. You can't keep making the same mistakes. And eventually, you have to sit down a little bit and here and there and it's not just handed to you. But, for the most part, you look at Broberg, you look at Holloway, they're put in positions to succeed. They did. And, I really believe that when this happens, Matt's going to come in and the guys that we believe that he's going to play with, he's going to be in a position to, put up some good numbers and feel good about himself. And, it takes time to get to the NHL. And, but you never know with injuries and call-ups or whatever it is, suspensions, he has to be ready to play. And we're going to put him in a position to make sure he has a good year.
Well, Keith, have a good off season. Maybe have fun at a karaoke bar, relive your youth with Don Waddell in Flint, Michigan, and we'll talk to you at camp.
Yep, see you there anytime.
You bet.
Take care. Bye-bye.
That's Keith Gretzky, assistant GM for the Edmonton Oilers. So pretty good rundown on a lot of their players. And Noah Phillips, an intriguing player for me. Both him and Jaden Gruby, big centers. And I think Phillips probably a little bit more offensive minded. You scored 19 goals your first year. Now he's a little bit older, sure, right? Went the U of A route. And there's the other factor I think you can't overlook is, the University U of A connection from Derek Ryan to Chris Knobloch and now Noah Phil. But you have a head coach who, I'm not saying that other coaches necessarily hold it against a player, but I think at times, the U Sport player doesn't necessarily get the same respect. Like, think about how NCAA free agents get raved about compared to U Sport. I don't think there's that much of a difference in those players. We're being bluntly honest. There isn't, right? NCAA's done a better job of making people think that, oh my goodness, these guys, we got to get them. They're unreal. Like, think about the hype, and it rarely matches. That's why I don't hype them up. But Noah Phillips, an intriguing prospect for Edmonton. Bigger guy. Right shot. And when you look at the Oilers roster right now, I think, as the season progresses, there's a spot there that could be up for grabs. 2:47, quick break. We'll come back as the Jason Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca live on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook.
The Cheesy Burger Pizza is back. $9.99. Cheesy Burger Papadilla for $9.99. And Bacon Cheesy Burger Papa Bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients. Better pizza. Better get you some Cheesy Burger Pizza at Papa John's.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is still the #1 company for families who don't want to see Dad in his underwear. Come on, we warned you about a heat wave a while ago, and lo and behold, here we are. So call Legacy now before the heat wave convinces Dad to cool down in a kiddie pool in your front yard. Yeah, we've still got air conditioners in stock, and yes, you won't have payments or interest for 1 year. Keeping Dad from bathing in public during a heat wave. That's how you save your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
The 100% Canadian beef McDonald's Western Barbecue Quarter Pounder is quite the mouthful. So, who better to sell it in 30 seconds than a 100% Canadian auctioneer?
Oh, mercy, it's back. 100% Canadian beef, topped with delicious smoky barbecue sauce and bacon. Who wants bacon? We got hickory smoked bacon strips, crispy onions. Who wants pickles? Not one down, better than 2 slices of processed cheddar cheese, served on a toasted sesame seed bun, and did so for a limited time at participating McDonald's restaurants in Western Canada.
You wanted local sports on weekends. Saturday mornings at 9, check out the Saturday Sports Setup, where we'll tee up what's happening on the weekend sports scene. Tune in Saturday morning at 9 on Sports 1440.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
The Bricks Appliance Super Sale is here for all your home outfitting needs. Check out amazing deals on all major appliances, like chest freezer starting at just $199 and washer and dryer packages for under $1,500. Plus, shop incredible deals in other departments, like up to $920 off sofas and sectionals. This summer, the Bricks Appliance Super Sale has got you covered, whether you're looking for items as big as a fridge or as small as a kettle. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Hey, it's Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. It's our final clear out of classic Ram 1500 trucks, and I do mean final. This is your last chance to get 25% off a brand new Ram truck. We still have some inventory left, but when they're gone, they're really gone. Or get an iconic Jeep Wrangler with up to $7,500 off. 0% financing available on every model. And we have a couple of the rare 500 horsepower 392 Wranglers in stock now. St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge, Edmonton's best rated Ram and Jeep dealers.
No matter where your potential customers live, no matter what they watch, read, or listen to, you need a marketing plan that connects with them. Let the marketing experts at Stingray Media Solutions create a turnkey advertising strategy for your business, including radio and TV and out-of-home advertising, social and search ads, plus the creative and production. Find out the most cost-effective ways to reach your target audience and grow your business. Get started now at stingraymediasolutions.com.
Shots ring out in the barroom night. Enter Betty Valentine from the upper hall. She sees a bartender in a pool of blood. Cries out, my God, they've killed
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
But one time he could have been the champion of the world.
On a great song from an unreal movie, The Hurricane, of course, for those who don't know, which was about Reuben the Hurricane Carter, wrongfully committed of a triple murder in New Jersey. Spent nearly 20 years in prison until there was a few people who helped him out, including a young boy, Leslie Martin, who was living in Toronto at the time. He was originally from Brooklyn, and then ended up helping him out and freed him. Imagine that, being wrongfully committed for almost 20 years. Awful. And he's not the only one. There's obviously in Canada, the Milgard case is pretty big, and there's been a few other ones. So there you go. Welcome back. It's the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440 in our inbox. We got a lot of texts coming in. This news just breaking from the St. Louis Blues for all of you fantasy owners. Torrey Krug has been diagnosed with pre-arthritic changes in his left ankle. He's going to be reevaluated in 6 to 8 weeks. And if surgery is necessary, he would then miss the entire season. So he's going to try to do some rehab, rest over the next 6 to 8 weeks, which would put it right before training camp, right? Early September and or late August, I guess, if they're going on the 6-week one. And then low. So might be on LTIR all season long for the St. Louis Blues. Pre-arthritic changes in his left ankle. Well, that's not good for him. So hope it works out. So keep that in mind. Hey, Greg, you and Frank doing any daily face-off rundowns this summer from Penner's Pancakes? Yeah, we will do them kind of every few weeks in the off season. So I think we, I'll be honest, I don't even know when the next one's planned. Can't lie. I think it's next Monday, but it's not 100% sure. So it'll be once a week. So there we go. Hey guys, we couldn't really hear Declan's voice very well. I'm requesting a solo.
I mean, I can hit it again. There are a lot of breaks we got to come out of and a lot of songs I can sing to.
Yeah.
So.
So there you might have to turn the music down and turn the voice up is what he's suggesting. So we'll see how that goes. Also today, it was unofficial about a month and a half ago, but now it's official. Joe Pavelski is retiring. He probably just took an extra month just to make sure, which is a smart thing to do, right? The season just ends. It's emotional time. He hinted that was likely the end, but he didn't want to use the R word just yet. But today he did. And after 18 seasons, a very good career, 476 goals, 1,068 points in 1,300 games. I've seen some people suggest Hall of Fame career by Joe Pavelski, and I'm like, oof, I don't think so. He had 40 goals once. He had 80 points once. I don't. It's not the Hall of Fame of really consistent players, which he was. He was a good player, right? Had a long career. Like, how many times did he score 20 goals in his career? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. Awesome. But that to me is not what the Hall of Fame is about. There was, what I think he was a second team All-Star one time in his career. So I don't view him as a Hall of Famer. Let me know what you think, but I don't see it at all. Not bad, Declan. Not bad from Husks. See, not the worst singer in the city. Definitely not. So that's, hey, you set a low bar, smart, and then you were able to punch through it. Hey, Gregor, what difference do you think Almondo Sewell can make on the D line? It's a good question, right? He was a ferocious defensive lineman. Ferocious. So strong. So, he could probably help out. I'm sure if he wants to get some cred, they'll go in the gym and he'll blow everybody away because he's only like freshly retired. Like that guy's still in really good shape. Technique will be a factor, right? Not only was he very strong and a really good engine, right, to be a successful D-line, and we're going to hear from Jed Roberts, who played the D-line. Jed's joining us in about an hour and 20 minutes. And when we look right now, I'm just not sure they have a dominant enough rush end. Right now, Almondo Sewell was kind of a freak in a sense that he was that good from the interior and was able to really kind of change how offensive line, they had to double team him all the time, which made it a lot easier for the rush end guys. Edmonton doesn't have just yet that one guy who's going to stand out. Now, Oakman, you know what? And Adichie, Oakman, if he gets back in shape, I'm not saying he's out of shape, but just in game shape because he obviously hasn't played in a while. And he looked okay in spurts in that game. I think just, as this season goes along, he'll get better, no question. But do they have like a dominant guy? Like Jake Seresna was really good. He wasn't dominant, but he was pretty consistent. And so they need right now to get 3 or 4 guys where they can all go and you can get a little bit more pressure because I'm sorry. Drew Brown, how many times did he get touched in that game? And how many times did he even get pressured? Not very often. So any quarterback, you give him that much time, now you're putting a lot more stress on your DBs. They got to cover longer. Right? Especially when it's on crossing patterns. Now you got to run across the field with guys. We saw what happened. They got exposed. Now, how much of that, though? And I saw Jed had a post, so I don't want to steal his words. I'm going to let him talk about it at 420, about what he saw from the secondary that he thinks needs to be fixed in how the players defend and where they're looking, where their eyes are. So we'll get to Jed Roberts discussing that. But, we'll find out. He's very fresh, removed from the league, so that part I think is good. He'll know the tendencies of players. But coaching is, you can know a lot. The biggest skill set of coaching is to take that knowledge and present it in a way that the players understand it. And that's definitely not, it's not the same. So 3:00, let's get to Deck and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Albatross Roofing. Immediate job openings for experienced flat roofers and sheet metal fabricators. Must have experience with Torch on Roofing. Steady, ongoing work and industry-leading wages and benefits. You can learn more and apply today at roofingalbatross with 2 S's.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the NHL, where Frank Saravelli is reporting that the St. Louis Blues have announced defenseman Torrey Krug has been diagnosed with pre-arthritic issues in his ankle. Now, according to Frank, he's hoping for non-surgical intervention, but is currently out indefinitely, and if surgery is required, he will miss the entire season. Other NHL news, as the Canucks have reached a 2-year deal with Arthur Schilofs. The deal comes in with an AAV of $850,000, and Patrick Laine's trade talks will be on hold until he exits the NHLPA Player Assistance Program. Other news in the NHL, in case you missed it, Quinton Byfield has agreed to terms on a 5-year, $31.25 million extensions with the LA Kings, keeping him with the club through 2028-2029. MLB All-Star Game going tonight. The betting odds currently even. First pitch for that one in about 3 hours' time at 6 o'clock, and it will be Corbin Burns and Paul Skeens on the mounds in those ones. NFL news is wide receiver Brandon Ayuk has requested a trade from the 49ers, according to sources. Brandon Ayuk looking for a $30 million AAV on his next contract. The Chicago Bears have also reached deals with their top 2 picks. Wide receiver Rome Odunze getting a 4-year, $22.7 million deal, while Caleb Williams, the first overall pick in this past draft, has signed his rookie scale deal at 4 years, $39 million. News out of the NBA, as former Raptors guard Gary Trent Jr. is set to sign with the Milwaukee Bucks, while Patrick Beverley has signed with an Israeli team, according to his social media, Hapoel Tel Aviv BC of the Israeli Basketball Premier League. Other news in the NBA, sad news, is Jelly Bean Bryant, the father of Kobe Bryant, has passed away at the age of 69. Up next is more of the Jason Gregor Show. In hour 2, we will hear from Terry Ryan and Dave McCarthy. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Hey, Elks fans.
Jackpot! Touchdown! Get on the Elks party bus for every home game at On the Rocks for only $35.
Included is a game ticket, round-trip transportation, and a prepaid Coors Light.
Reserve your spot now at ontherocks.com.
And OTR is your go-to for every Euro Cup game.
With $5.25 Heineken.
Their first major trophy. It's the ultimate football experience.
Canadian or European.
Only at On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave and 118th.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for
the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
What a season. What a ride. Congratulations on an incredible season from GS Construction. Whether you're a laborer, pipe layer, or pipe layer's helper, lead hand, operator, top man or woman, or water and sewer foreman, GS Construction has room for you on their team. GS Construction, celebrating 50 years of laying the groundwork of Edmonton and communities throughout Alberta. Let's get to work. Get started today at gsconstruction.ca.
The sports world never clocks out. Neither do we. Sports 1440 has you covered with Fox Sports tonight after 9 and all weekend long. So when you're ready to head home, we're warming up again. Sports 1440, bringing you an all-star performance every day.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
Some people see their RV as a way to travel the countryside and explore the great outdoors. For others, it's more like a summer cottage. Sure, it's got wheels, but that doesn't mean that you have to roll it around all the time. And I know someone who uses his RV exactly like this. It's Rick Showers from No Bull RV. Hey, Rick, when was the last time you hooked up your trailer and took it somewhere?
Been years, Bob.
You just leave it in one place?
Well, you have to see our campsite. It's near Seba Beach. There's lots of privacy. It's a heavily wooded area, but very close to the lake, with full water and electrical hookup. So my wife, Deanna, and I enjoy cottage life with all its beauty and all the comforts of home.
And the RV you use as a cottage, did you buy it new?
Bob, what are you, nuts? I can happily find you an RV as nice as mine. Got dozens of them on the lot right now. And Deanna and I are living proof that you don't have to pay new RV prices to live the dream.
And that's Noble.
NobleRV.ca.
This
I've just seen her face, I can't forget the time or place where we just met. She's just the girl for me, and
MLB All-Star Game Day. If you're a fan of the All-Star Game, I quite liked the home run derby last night. I like the new format. Teoscar Hernandez becomes the winner and came right down to the final swing. And literally, 2 feet, foot and a half extra. And Bobby Witt Jr., they might have been going to a swing off, but it did not happen. So the first ever LA Dodger, former Blue Jay, who got a little bit of coaching from last year's winner, Vladdy Guerrero, during the contest, ends up winning it. So good for him. Had his wife and 3 kids there. Obviously a fun time. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where, hey, you want to get in the game for summer, you can, and you can snag a $50 casino bonus when you use the promo code SUMMER. You know how to spell it. Let's welcome to the program the 8th overall draft pick in the 1995 NHL draft. It happened right here in Edmonton. Became a 2-time author. Also, now stars in Shoresy that just wrapped up season 3. Season 4 is officially coming out. Terry Ryan joins us. TR, how you doing?
Not bad. I'm doing all right. Just got back after playing a couple hours ago from Chris Nyland's golf tournament for the Liam Foundation, which is look into it online. You can still donate. It was in Montreal. It was with a lot of the Canadians legends on a beautiful day. I was in and out just yesterday, but it was awesome.
Nice. I saw, they raised a lot of money for that, which is fantastic. I see you've switched up your background decor. You've changed, got some lighting up there now. You've taken down a few of your jerseys. Are you in renovation mode? What's going on?
Well, that lighting you don't normally see. It's always up there. Usually I have this elevated on a bit of a platform, so it probably would be this high, and it's coming at you from this angle. That's
there
what
you go. Okay.
See, look.
You switched it over. Oh,
over there. I just walked in the door, got off the plane, and had to go skate. Couldn't miss my 3:30 skate, and absolutely bagged after a couple hours on the ice with people that are 20 years younger and playing pro hockey. So I walked in a little late, but here's the angle you got today. It's a little bit different. Aesthetically, I don't know if it's pleasing, but it's different.
Yeah, no, that's good. So still trying to keep up with the young bucks, eh? It's keeps you in shape.
That's how I stay in shape. Yeah, I mean, I could stay in shape running on the side of the road. I hate doing it. I need a mental illusion of sorts. I need a ball. It could be volleyball. I just need to be playing a sport. And the summer skates around here are top notch, from Alex Newhook to Zach O'Brien, Jordan Escott. Oh God, all the junior kids are back. I mean, it's really is a good skate.
All right. Lots happening on the weekend. Of course, Canada loses to Uruguay in penalty kicks. You had the craziness of the Copa America final with the crowd and people just basically storming the stadium and squatting in people's seats who paid for their seats. So that part wasn't good. Spain comes back, breaks the heart of England in the final. What stood out, I guess, which is the thing that caught your eye the most from the soccer perspective on the weekend?
Well, I watched the full game of the Canada-Uruguay. I think that was the biggest story. I mean, I know it was third place, but still, given the circumstances that have happened and that are about to happen on a world level with Canada, I just thought that was fitting to take all of that in. I didn't see the Spain-England game. I just heard, I listened to a couple of podcasts on the plane. And as far as, I don't know, I read what happened in Miami, but I'm still not quite sure. I just read it on the news coming back. I don't understand the reasoning. If people had tickets, what's before I get to your question, what is the reason that so many people got in and rushed and there were so many people that knew about it? Was there an online, a group that rushed the stadium? Like what was the reason?
Well, I think you had some people who just planned like, hey, we're going. So we're just going to wait in line. And what happened was some of the fencing barriers, the safety, because they were waiting to open the stadium, when they opened in, and there's like a mad rush. And then people came in. And so they don't, the stadium seats 85,000 people. And they were estimating between 3,000 to 4,000 people didn't have seats. And then they went into stadiums, TR, and then they would just sit in a seat. And so you're there, some people come, they've got their kids, they got their wife, right? There's you, and there's, 3 young adult guys, and they're like, hey, you're in our seats. I'm not moving. And there's not enough security to do that to everybody. So some people just end up leaving. Like, what do they do? Right? Like,
well, why doesn't this happen every time? Like, why is it unique to this particular, something happened?
Usually at the big events, like I know at the World Cup, they set up a barrier blocks away from the stadium. So you can't get through the barrier unless you show that you have tickets. And then you got to,
I mean, that's the same if I went to see Def Leppard in Mount Pearl. Like, I don't understand. Like, if you don't have a ticket, you can't get in. I still don't understand. I get what you're saying, but I break down of security. Like, what are you doing? What a terrible organizing skills.
I agree with that, but I also look at it and say, have you ever gone to a concert or an NFL game? And Super Bowl is pretty big in North America. Stanley Cup games, Grey Cup games, where people think, I'm just going to barge my way in, right? I'm going to crawl through vents. I don't know if you saw the videos. They were crawling through vents outside to get inside the stadium. And I'm like, that just doesn't happen. Most other fans like, well, I don't have a ticket. I'm not going, right? Like, maybe I'll go outside and try to scalp one, but that's it.
So was there a group online, Jason? Like, that's what I mean. So many people.
See that. So I haven't heard that. All I know, well, how about this? The president of the Columbia Soccer Federation, his son got arrested, right, as part of it. So it's, what, there's just, we had a lot of people who know soccer way more than me, and soccer's, they've cleaned up their act a little bit for sure. It's not perfect. South America, there's still there's just something about the soccer culture, Terry, that when you go to hockey in Europe, you go to football match, you go to a lot of other events, you don't have sections cordoned off to say, we basically lock you in this section. You can't leave with the other fans because you're all going to riot. And everyone's like, well, this is normal, right? Like it's not the soccer fan of what that's allowed is very, to me, gone way. It's jumped the shark. It's become acceptable to be an idiot. And I don't understand it.
Yeah, I guess that's the part. I mean, I there's so many things I don't agree. Well, no, I can't say I don't agree. I don't love the penalty kicks. I know it's part of it, and I understand people's argument. But this, people are going, well, that's soccer. I know to a degree, but come on, we can't have lapses like this. There's so much to unpack. Now, I don't want to beat a dead horse. That's what I think there. But when you asked earlier, Canada, Uruguay, and I really, really was into it, and it was I won't even say heartbreaking when they got scored on because they still really, I think, exceeded expectations, and you as a fan, especially as a countryman from Canada, you were still proud. So I don't know if it was quite heartbreak. It was extremely unfortunate, but I just think they made us proud and gave me and a lot of other I don't know about young fans and curious Canadians a lot to hope for in a couple of years. So for me, that's one of the most intriguing stories of the year, let alone that day.
Yeah, no, that is totally fair. You mentioned players, and I know you saw him a little bit in the Quebec Major Junior League. Xavier Bourgault got traded yesterday by the Edmonton Oilers. Him and Jason will go to Ottawa now, and you've got young Robbie Jarventi who will come here. He's a little bit bigger, more of a physical style of player. We had Keith Gretzky on in the first hour, and he talked about it. Both guys have skill. And it's a situation of, maybe a new address can help you. And I know you talked openly about, sometimes getting a change of address can help you. Sometimes it can hurt you. What do you make of two young guys, and what can be the biggest benefit sometimes of just having a new organization with a GM now that acquired you? So maybe there's a little bit more commitment to you.
If I was young and that happened, I would look forward to it. More so. If I'm older, I probably look more at why did that team get rid of me? But if I'm young, then someone is planning on investing part of their future in me and are confident enough to trade for me to bring into their organization, I would be happy. I would be real excited. Sometimes it works for both teams. There's all kinds of, you know what I mean? It's you can go through every sport, but I mean, certain teams need different things, different size players, different positions, whatever it might be, different contracts. So when you're asking about young players specifically, usually that means we're going to look at this guy and we're going to give him a chance. So I would applaud the move if I was a young player.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, exactly. Right. You're just looking for a new opportunity. Maybe someone sees you different. At the same time, though, you as a player will have to realize I've got to do something different.
Yeah, you're right. Like, put it this way. I guess part of what I'm getting at is that, look, I love my favorite part about hockey is the team atmosphere and the team sacrifice that it takes to win, no matter whatever it is. And even individual awards, like a scoring title, you still need good teammates and teammate sacrifice, a goalie to get a shutout. You need people to block shots all the way down the line. But if I'm young, I'm not really looking at going to the Oilers because they might win. I hate to put that sounded selfish because I certainly wasn't a selfish player. But again, I'm young. I'm looking at a situation. If I'm an established veteran of even 2 years, like I could see even a guy like Fogle that hasn't been in a whole long in the NHL, but I understand it. Okay, you got to go somewhere. You got a better deal in LA, and you can kind of say, they have a pretty good team too. Maybe we can have. But if I'm young, I'm not thinking at all about winning. I'm thinking about getting my foot in the door, and I think it'd be bordering on idiocy if you didn't look at the attributes that you knew you had to work on. I mean, clearly, I'm not in the NHL. I'm a prospect in the case of everybody you just mentioned, at least. So what do I need to work on? And I think it's a great time to communicate. I can speak from experience that there was a lack of communication with Michel Therrien, and that was partly my fault. I just mentioned him because it was probably the biggest head that I butted on the way up and in my career. But it just felt so stale that I was beyond the point of communicating. I just didn't even care. I didn't want to see him. And I think when you first get traded somewhere, it's exciting to welcome the new perspective. And even if it is, no one's going to take you in and criticize you, it doesn't feel stale. I mean, they might criticize you, but they're probably going to emphasize why you're there in the first place. So again, I don't know too many cases where the player wasn't excited about the move.
Yeah. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. We'll return with there's flooded parkades. There's there's heavy rainfall. We'll see. How's the forest of Dave McCarthy doing? We'll find out next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Rule number 62. Never miss a free pancake breakfast. It's unheard of and frankly a little upsetting. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
The cheesy burger pizza is back at Papa John's. See what happens when you ask for it? Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the Cheesy Burger Trio or choose between the large Cheesy Burger Pizza for $18.99, Cheesy Burger Papadilla for $9.99, and Bacon Cheesy Burger Papa Bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Cheesy Burger Pizza at Papa John's.
The Ben Maller Show rolls out weeknights at midnight here on Sports 1440. I've been told I have one of the most compelling overnight sports talk shows, but I question that decision. I will let you be the judge. Check it out, midnight to 4 here on Sports 1440.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
Hey, Elks fans.
Jackpot! Touchdown! Get on the Elks party bus for every home game at On the Rocks for only $35.
Included is a game ticket, round-trip transportation, and a prepaid Coors Light.
Reserve your spot now at ontherocks.com.
And OTR is your go-to for every Euro Cup game.
With $5.25 Heineken.
Their first major trophy.
It's the ultimate football experience.
Canadian or European.
Only at On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave and 118th.
Now, all sizes of premium roast coffee at McDonald's have a new low price starting at $1 plus tax for a small. It's great if you love great tasting coffee. $1 small premium roast coffee every single day. Must be McCafe. Plus tax at participating restaurants in Canada. Excludes delivery.
Diablo Boots has been open for business for 60 years.
selling Canadian-made quality boots. Diablo has Canada West work, biker and cowboy boots with fixable soles and heels. So why buy boots like Area, Justin, or Red Wing that are made in China? Get your money's worth with Diablo's Canada West tough, comfortable work boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. And does Diablo sell the best boots in town? You betcha.
The Sports Bar at Century Casino Edmonton is the place for all your favorite sports all summer long, including this. And this. From the diamond to the gridiron, the Sports Bar at Century Casino Edmonton, where every seat is the best seat in the house. Tons of screens, daily food and drink features, plus a game-winning menu with something for everyone. So come out and cheer on your favorite team, including your Edmonton Elks.
Every day is game day at Century Sports Bar and Lounge.
It's 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
By PlayAlberta.ca. Lotto Max, baby, on a hot Tuesday afternoon. What is it? $60 million up for grabs and 6 max million. So get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca as we go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And when it's hot this week, how about dollar cones, $2 sundaes, $2 milkshakes? Love it. Get them all at PlayAlberta.ca. Well, I didn't know it was like NC, and now we've changed locations. TR's he's outside now. He's got his fedora on. And is that like a Hawaiian shirt you're walking?
I suppose it is. Yeah, it's from the one of the many beaches in Florida.
Oh, nice.
I figured I'd hang. If Dave's coming on, I might as well get in the mood, right? Like method acting almost. Like just try to get inside the mind of the interviewee.
Yeah, I like it. Well, welcome, Dave McCarthy, to the show. We'll see. Will they have competing hats? Dave, how you doing?
Look at this. I think next week, Terry, I might show up in a muscle shirt. Okay, and then how would you react to that?
I like how I'm defined by the muscle shirt, which I wore once, and I've never seen so much as a wall behind you.
But it was a really good muscle shirt, though. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah,
you know what?
Like, Wings, 1972. There's not many clothes still going from then, let alone Kalamazoo Wings of the IHL tank tops.
Oh my God, my eyes, Dave. It's like I need my shades right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm not against showing these off, but like I said, they're
pretty white.
They're very reflective. Put it that way.
Touche. Very reflective. Lots of stories going on in the NHL. Joe Pavelski officially retired. So I'm going to ask both of you. Do you see Joe Pavelski as a Hall of Fame player?
Okay, well, I'll start. I certainly not first ballot. I think he's right there. Like, he's certainly a USA Hockey Hall of Famer in their Hall of Fame. For the Hockey Hall of Fame, like, I don't know, man. I think the bar should be higher to begin with to get into the Hockey Hall of Fame than it is. But when you look at what Pavelski accomplished throughout his career, he was an excellent player. Really, really good. Big part of those San Jose Sharks teams through the early part of the 2010s, but they could never quite push through. He's got over 1,000 points. He's 24 goals shy of 500, well over 1,000 games at 1332. Never won an individual trophy, though. So I'll put it this way. There are guys in the Hall of Fame with worse numbers than what Pavelski put together. it comes down to, I think, how well respected is he? And I think a lot of people do respect and do like Joe Pavelski. Could I see him getting in? I certainly wouldn't bet all of my money on him not getting in at some point, but I think it might take him a number of years, and then in a lean year with a poor candidacy of first ballot players, potentially he could get in.
I think, yeah, I do. I think his numbers might be borderline for Hall of Fame. First of all, I will preface it with, I do think the standard should be a little bit higher to get in. But anyway, they're not. And I think there is something to be said for longevity. A lot of people, of course, would say the numbers, yes, of course, because he played so long. But I think there's something to be said for that. He's still sought after, and he's still in his last season. Not Hall of Fame numbers, but another great year outside of, a little blip in the playoffs. But for a guy that played so long with so much respect and battled so hard, again, I know these aren't things that normally would get you into the Hall of Fame, but for someone on the bubble, that's something to me. That's the straw that would break the back right there. Of course, he's on the fence. Let's put him in. He played so long and was so sought after. And, he's also a clutch player. And I don't know if there's anything in there for that, but he's clutch.
I don't understand, I'll just say, why longevity gets held against guys. Makes no sense. What it means is you're always available, and generally when you are, you produce. Is that not the point of playing the game? There's guys that we always hear about being so talented and this and that, and every time you turn around, they're hurt and they play 50 games a year. I don't understand why longevity gets held against guys, and then people say, "Wow, the only reason he's got over 1,000 points is because he played 1,350." Yeah, that's why I played it. And who's happy about that? Every single team who ever put their sweater on.
Yeah, see, I guess I would say most people, if I said Ray Whitney, do you think he's a Hall of Famer? Most people would say no. Well, Ray Whitney played 1,330 games and had 1,064 points. Joe Pavelski played 1,332, so 2 more games, and had 4 more points. But no one would ever consider Ray Whitney a Hall of Famer.
Well,
I mean, I don't think so either. That's why I would lean more than likely no. But Joe Pavelski, I don't know, man. He's one of these guys that is well respected, is highly sought after, is well talked about. I think has a lot of friends in the game. One of the best U.S. players whoever came out. I think the fact that his passport is in the United States and not Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta, like Ray Whitney. Say what you will, but I think that contributes a little bit because in his pool of peers, he's thought of as one of the best. For Ray Whitney, he's a good player amongst a lot of Canadians who had good careers like that. So to be one of those guys that paved the way and was viewed for a lot of American kids as a standard to aspire to, I think that matters a little bit too. But like Terry said, and I think you would agree, Jason, the bar should be higher than it is. So I would be okay with him not getting in, but given where the bar is and all of those factors that we mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised at some point if he's at least knocking on the door and gets some consideration.
Yeah. Since you asked, sorry, did I cut you off there, Jason?
No, go ahead.
Well, since you asked both, I will say I think goals probably are more. He had 100 more goals than Ray Whitney. 100 more.
Yeah, well,
that's a lot more. I just think that would probably.
And yeah, you could be right. There's lots of guys right around him. Dave Taylor's not in. He has 431 goals. Played 200 fewer games. You've got Keith Gretzky who has 50 more, actually 60 more goals.
I'm surprised he's not in.
500 goals should put you into the Hall of Fame. I don't care if you got 8,000 games played. 500 goals should get you in.
Yeah, like Joey Mullen's in ahead of Keith Gretzky, and I'm kind of that one surprises me, to be honest. But yeah. So I see. To me, if I'm voting, Joe Pavelski's not a Hall of Famer. He had 40 goals once. He had 80 points once. He never was like some people like, well, not Jeremy Roenick. Like Jeremy Roenick had a 7-year span where he had the 6th most goals in the NHL, and he had 9th most points in a 6-year span. So You're a top of the top. Joe Pavelski, really good. I wouldn't have him in my Hall of Fame. Dave, you make good points, and and it's sad but true. I do think for some voters, the American. Oh well, geez, he's considered higher in the American world, so he should get in. I'm like, no, it's the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's not where's your birthright Hall of Fame. So I don't. I'm not a big believer in that. Torrey Krug news today that's pretty big out of St. Louis. He's got pre-arthritic changes in his ankle. They're going to give him 6 to 8 weeks. Then he'll be reevaluated. And if it doesn't improve, then he's going to require surgery. They'll keep him out for the entire season. This is a guy the Blues were looking at trading last year. And I don't know much about what pre-arthritic changes in an ankle means, but it doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't. And that could potentially explain why the Blues went out and got Ryan Suter for a year and $775,000 as an insurance policy. Obviously, they had an idea that there was some issue with Torrey Krug. You look at St. Louis now, you got a lot of cap space, like $7+ million as it stands right now, and they haven't done much really of anything in the offseason, save for signing Ryan Suter, but nothing of consequence really. If I was a team that had superfluous defensemen right now and I was looking to shed some salary, guys that maybe have a year or two left, can play but probably make more than what you'd like to pay them right now, I'd be calling Doug Armstrong up in St. Louis and saying, like, provided maybe I'm not in the Central Division, I will give this guy to you provided you take him off my hands. You wonder if there's something there to be made, because I do think they need to upgrade on the back end, and I do think they need to upgrade still up front as well. I don't know how they're going to score any goals next year. They've got some talent up front with Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas. Jake Neighbors was effective this year. I think he had high 20s. Braden Shen,
Buchnevich,
Brandon Shen. But to me, they're a by committee team, right? Like they don't have an elite, let alone 2 elite game breaking type guys. It's a by committee team. So I think they could use an infusion of another by committee type guy just to give you more options, because beyond their top 2 lines, once you get into their bottom 6, I don't see a lot of goals coming from there. And in that Central Division right now, if they're intending to compete, it's going to be a really difficult division, I think, next year in the National Hockey League. I don't like what I'm seeing out of St. Louis in terms of their ability to contend for playoff spot as it stands right now.
What do you think of the move the Oilers made? Bourgault and Chiasson for Jarventi in the pick.
I don't know. That's, to me, we'll see. I think it's depth for depth. I think that's maybe one of those ones that if the guy gets called up and gets a run and shows that he can contribute, maybe it's one you look back and say, man, I didn't give any attention to that in the summer, and hey, now that turned out to be a useful deal. But to me, it's not one that really registers on my radar at this point. Does it for you guys?
No, I think it's a case of a question mark for a question mark. At the time, both teams see some upside. They're different styles of players, right? I think Bourgault's might be a better pure shooter, but Jarventi's bigger. I think skates better, is a little bit grittier. And actually, Jarventi is trending better right now, right? Like he has 50 points in his last 260 AHL games and 25 goals. Like 25 goals in 60 games. That's a pretty good player. He obviously got injured this year in January. So, you could probably make an argument trend-wise that he's ahead. Right. And so they get Bourgault and Chiasson, and Ottawa maybe feels like, hey, Bourgault coming back out east, he'll be in a community that's a lot maybe more comfortable than what he was there. He's in a different organization. Last year, not to necessarily a fault of his own, but he didn't train the best. Not that he didn't train, but he bulked up too much, and it kind of slowed him down. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of a wasted year. So I think it's too early to write off either one of them. And they're both are a little bit of a question mark, and we'll see if one team can come out a winner.
Yeah, I agree with that. I look at AHL numbers, and it's obviously encouraging to see a guy produce well in the AHL rather than not, obviously. Mm-hmm. But in both those guys' cases, I still think, okay, that's nice, but I got to see it at the NHL level as well before I start to get really, really excited, because I don't think either of those guys, to me, have the pedigree to suggest that they're going to step into the NHL and immediately be able to replicate the production they had at the American League level.
Yeah, it's totally fair. Davey, you look at the Columbus Blue Jackets, and their former coach is now coaching Laval, and Pascal Vincent was named the head coach there today. But that's really the only the coaching vacancy left. Until Patrick Laine is cleared from the substance abuse program for the NHL, that he's not can't be traded. So there's a little bit of a holding pattern there.
Mm-hmm.
In Columbus, in Don Waddell, I guess, he kind of got the guys, but you would think he'd want to secure that coaching job sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a tight situation. I think Todd McClellan was somebody that they had interest in, but they couldn't come to an agreement on how the dollars and cents played out. And he's making a significant chunk, I think $5 million plus on his final year in his contract that he signed in on his last deal. And so obviously if he's going to take less, he's not going to come back and work for less. I'll play it out and then come back again in a year's time. He'll still get consideration. He's still a young guy. Like, can't believe the guy's still only like 53. He's one of these guys that feels like he's been around forever and should be 10 years older, but he's not. So it makes sense. If it comes down to Dean Evison, or Jay Woodcroft, okay. I mean, I guess for Columbus, to me, it doesn't really excite me, and it kind of leaves me feeling as though this is kind of par for the Columbus course, not getting the guy they necessarily want. Evison and Woodcroft have been shown to be two good coaches at the NHL level, but they haven't really proven a great deal either at the NHL level. And that's really what Columbus has been about ever since they came into the league, is that nothing about them screams championship caliber. At best, it screams maybe good enough. And that's where I see Columbus still at this point. Like, I think Don Waddell will do a good job ultimately by the time his tenure comes to an end in Columbus, but I think it might take him another year to get on the job, fully put his stamp on the team, make some of the moves that he'd like to make, and establish a culture in Columbus. I don't think to expect it to happen in 4 months by the start of the regular season from when he took the job is reasonable. And I think it could be another lean year in Columbus at this point, especially when you consider that division and you look at New Jersey significantly improved. The Rangers, I still think, will be a good team. I think Washington has improved quite a bit in this offseason. Will Carolina take a step back, potentially far enough to fall beneath Columbus? I don't think so. The Islanders always seem to find a way to scrap and claw and be in the mix. So, I think it's going to be tough for Columbus this year.
Davey, good to catch up with you. I might have to bring in my fedora next week just so I feel part of the group. So,
what would you guys do if I showed up in a muscle shirt? I don't think either of you would be able to have a reaction. I think it might throw off the whole vibe of the show.
I'd write a poem about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Terry.
You do it. Inspire me, please. Inspire me.
Newfoundland's poet laureate. I'd like to see you at work.
Have you ever seen him? He loves his poems.
I know.
When I'm inspired, I'd have to see you.
And I would love them very much if they had to do with me.
Okay, well, wear that muscle shirt and we'll see.
There you go, Dave. There's the challenge. We'll see. We will see. Will there be a poem and a muscle shirt next Tuesday at 3:20 Mountain Standard Time? We'll find out.
That's a challenge I might be able to meet. Somebody once asked me, are you willing to wear a Speedo in a brunch preview video? And I said, nobody wants to see that. So,
yeah, muscle shirt a little bit different than a Speedo, Dave, but that would probably get a poem for sure.
Bet it would. Don't know if I'd want to read it.
Dave, Banana Hammock McCarthy, and then it would go from there. So. Have a good one, Davey.
See you, buddy.
It's Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you on Sports 1440. We've got a lot of text line in 833-401-1440. We'll get to TR's Tales. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a poem. You never know. It's always a surprise on what could happen in TR's Tales or Ryan's Rant. Coming up on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Be Melon Jolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt, and fan favorite, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is still the #1 company for families who don't want to see dad in his underwear. Come on, we warned you about a heat wave a while ago, and lo and behold, here we are. So call Legacy now before the heat wave convinces dad to cool down in a kiddie pool in your front yard. Yeah, we still got air conditioners in stock, and yes, you won't have payments or interest for 1 year. Keeping dad from bathing in public during a heat wave. That's how you save your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
CW Eves Troughing is busy. That's why they're looking for experienced troughers to run one of their trucks. To get paid top rates, contact CW Eves Troughing at 780-435-1492 or email info@cweves.com.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
What's cracking at Cattail Crossing? Every Friday after 4 p.m., it's 9 and Dine Fridays. Includes golf for 2 with a power cart at Cattail Crossing and a $50 food voucher at Out of Bounds Restaurant. Only $119.99. Tea times can be booked at cattailcrossing.ca.
The sports world never clocks out. Neither do we. Sports 1440 has you covered with Fox Sports tonight after 9 and all weekend long. So when you're ready to head home, we're warming up again. Sports 1440, bringing you an all-star performance every day.
For over 65 years, Denim Ford has been the trusted heart of Central Alberta. We're not just a dealership, we're a tradition of honesty and excellence with honest pricing and genuine service. We've proudly earned Canada's only 51-time President's Award for Customer Satisfaction. Join our extended family and experience the Denim Ford difference. Whether on the Wetaskiwin Auto Mile or online at denimford.ca, your journey to trusted excellence starts with us. Denim Ford, driving tradition forward.
Eric McCarthy here, head of the family at Furnace Mount. We are expecting another hot summer. So what are you waiting for to install air conditioning? A few sleepless nights? Your family complaining? Or the hot spell when we have a 3-week wait? The time to get AC is now. Our expert installers are typically done in a few hours, and your family is comfortable all summer long. Daikin is offering a $1,775 rebate on a complete fit air conditioning system. Visit furnacefamily.com. Jingle time.
Night, day or night.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Oh, yeah. The moon.
Electrical, one of the most diversified electrical companies in the province of Alberta. They keep growing and expanding. And if you want help and you've been on the fence, you're like, I want to get solar. Well, they'll help you out. They show you all the best ways to get the saving, whether it's on home or your commercial building. actionelectrical.net. Terry Ryan.
Well, thank you, Jason. So here's what I'm going to do this week again. I had so many of these questions. There's some people out there that need some help. I have a couple of questions that maybe you and I can help them with. Is this okay?
Hey, do we get a response yet from Innisfail? Did we get a feedback? Is he still dating?
Certainly did. Frankie said, hey, TR, she's on vacation. We're going to spend next weekend together, and I'll get back to you after that.
Okay.
So she's on vacation now. He's spending next weekend with her.
And we'll find out.
We're going to find out. He has some, I guess, he heard us talking about the tests, quote unquote. It might have been Connor. And I think he's got some of those for her.
Oh, nice. I like it. Yeah.
So here's the first. This comes from Kyle. Okay. Kyle's in Alberta. I don't know where. Hey, TR, my girlfriend wants to go on a trip. She wants to go to Hawaii. We agreed. And as we were booking hotels, she brings up her hot friend, Samantha, just broke up with her boyfriend and wants to come along. The next day, Samantha DM'd me and said she's looking forward to the trip. Have I been working on my beach body yet? Laugh emoji, muscle arm emoji. I don't know Sam well. I've only met her once. What should I do? So I guess he thinks,
that might be a little presumptuous of him assuming that one message means that she's in love with him.
It is, but I guess I see kind of where he's coming from. He'd never met her, or he met her once. He doesn't know her very well. She gets brought into this trip he thought he was going to with his girlfriend, right? And it was, I guess, some level of romance, right? I mean, you're going to Hawaii with your girlfriend. I'm thinking it's just weird to bring a third party. What if he brought a third party up? It'd seem absurd. So now she's saying yes. Samantha, by his own admission, is hot, and he's never really spoken to her. And then the next day, the first thing she does is ask if he's working on his beach body. Laugh emoji. I don't know. Do you think she's flirting? You put that up.
Oh, that's a good question. You know what? See, anything in text can be misconstrued. That's why I'm never a huge believer of that. Yeah, it's probably I can see why it might be eye raising. My first question would be I would mention to my girlfriend. I would be very upfront and say, hey, what do you think this means? That's what I would do.
Well, yeah, because the other thing, it could be a test.
Oh yeah, very true.
I mean, it's not a huge possibility, but I'm thinking it's at least a 10% possibility, right? And clearly, if he's asking me the question, you would think that he almost wants to meet Samantha. Like, what do you mean? What are you going to do?
Of course.
Straight up, the answer is easy. Yeah, you just tell your girlfriend and go on the trip.
Yeah.
Right? But he's clearly not doing that. So I think there's a level of shadiness just going in, just to assume.
Yeah. If it was me, I would show it to my girlfriend and say, what do you think? That would be my advice.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, this guy's being presumptuous, first of all. I do think it's a little bit odd. But I mean, just talk to the girlfriend.
And then
you think that's weird, bringing a third person? You know what I mean? Like, why do you need to reach out to TR for that in Newfoundland?
Well, here's the other thing. I would like to know, is he somewhat in shape? Like, could he pull off a beach body, or is it not remotely close? Because then it might just be somewhat of a backhanded joke. You know what? That's basically saying, hey, maybe you should be. So that's my other question.
Yeah, that's a great point. So first of all, Kyle, I don't think you gave us enough information here, right? Because that's just what you said is big. The communication with the girlfriend's big. You met her once. When? Was it at a wedding? Who is this? I don't think there's enough information.
Okay, next.
Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, this guy says, yo, T-Bone. Okay. My good friend just went through chemotherapy after he was told he had cancer 4 years ago. I'm happy to say that he's healthy now, but there's a bit of a problem.
Oh, God.
Okay, one sec. Okay, I'm happy to say he's healthy now, but there's a bit of a problem. Knock on wood, he doesn't have any signs of cancer. But you see, he's renting my apartment, and he hasn't paid rent in now what's almost a year. His last treatment was a year ago. We raised money with GoFundMe, so I know he had his bills paid, but I don't know what to do. Last night, I saw him at a 5-star restaurant with a new girlfriend. Should I ask him to pay me the money?
Ooh, now this one's a good one. You go first.
Oh, I think yes. I think you just be honest and say, look, I know you went through a hard time. First of all, I don't know this guy's. There's not quite enough information here either. Are you struggling to pay your bills, and this guy that you helped isn't, showing you the same love back now? But assuming that, you're trying to get ahead and, check the check kind of thing, judging that money doesn't grow on trees for you, I think you speak to your friend, yes. And I think, you just be honest and preface it all with, how much you love him and that it was one of the best feelings ever seeing him, and knock on wood that we're done with all that. It was a great recovery, but now we're almost a year out, and, a few months is one thing, but dude, I need you to pay me the money that you owe me, or else you got to get out. I think I would have to say that. I'm sorry, but it's 11 months ago, Jason, and he's got a new girlfriend now at a 5-star restaurant.
Well, so here's my thing about the 5-star restaurant. 2024, maybe she's paying. So that, I guess, would be that. Now, although talk to some people, it's funny, we can talk equality, but a lot of women still think the guy always has to pay in the first date. But anyway, I would. You have to have an open conversation. Just say, okay, man, so you're going out to the 5-star restaurant. What's going on here? You're not paying me rent. I'm not a millionaire. I can't float your lifestyle forever. Is he back working? Right. So because the chemo is one thing, but if he's back working, then to me, I don't even care if he has cancer or doesn't have cancer anymore. If he's back working, he should have the pride and want to pay rather than be a freeloader. So if you help someone out for a short period of time, they're in a tough span. That's great. You get the great positive reading, and right now you're cancer-free, you're back working. Well, now life starts. So I would have the conversation and say, yeah, man, it's something's got to give. But the problem is the guy might just move out, and then you're screwed, but at least he's not living with you, because I'm guessing you're feeling now that he's past the point of you helping him to now it's bordering on freeloader. So that's where it becomes uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think this guy, it's unfortunate he had cancer, but I still think he can be a bit of a jerk, and I think he's taking advantage of a situation here. His friend went out of his way to help him. They even went to GoFundMe. If it's me, even if the girl is paying, I don't want to give up. I think it's a bad look. If I haven't paid, if I'm living a certain life and I owe people to some degree, I don't know that I'm out living it up like that, even if she is paying. But who knows? People can have cancer, and that's unfortunate. But yeah, people can have cancer and act like jerks, and I think this guy's acting like a jerk. And I really think that without being that blunt, you bring it up. You bring up a good point though, Jason. Is he working or not? But still, he owes you money. So the fact that this guy hasn't brought it up in 11 months, to me, that's a red flag as well.
Very true. You got one more?
Got one more. Simply, this guy just said, Carl, in Cold Lake, he wants to know what would be the number one thing that I would change in the National Hockey League. Now, for me, it would be the offsides video replay. It's cut and dry. What about you?
Ooh, one thing I would change in the NHL. Oh, without question, there is no crossover when it's 4 and 4 teams. You got 4 in the Pacific, you got 4 in the Central. I don't care who's won in each side. I don't care who's 7th and 8th wild cards. 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. We have less travel. We want to build rivalries. That's the whole point of the regular season. Easiest decision I would make.
Yeah, a couple of easy. That's a great one too. And I despise the video replay so much, especially offsides. I think we can get rid of that one and be better off. And then that's it. That's my 3 questions today.
TR, we got a lot of texts. People are loving the Dear Terry segment. The old Dear Abby. It's classic. There's there's lots of people suggesting to our to your first question that he says, has he ever thought that maybe the girls are going to get together and leave him? So there's another angle I hadn't remotely thought of. So you never know. Maybe she's setting him up, and then boom, it's going to be like, I'm stealing your girlfriend. So
it feels to me like some level. It feels to me there's information that he doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
Where it's coming from, I'm not sure which girl or both of them, but it feels to me that there's something there that he's going to find out pretty soon, and it's probably it's going to be real good or real bad.
There's lots of other people that are suggesting that maybe he's got to be like Seinfeld now, Terry. Right? He's going to have to start getting robes and oils, and you never know. Right? All of a sudden, you never know. And Jerry's like, I can't do it. I can't live that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Got to be prepared, Kyle. Right? Like it seems like a good idea at the time, but can it be? You never know. So are you prepared to live that lifestyle? You want to get the robes, right? So you got to think about it.
And Hawaii is like epic. It's not like they're driving down to the Calgary Stampede.
I was just going to say, exactly. You're going to like, and you're pot committed. Like once you're there for a long time. So if something goes awry in the first night, then what? And it's uncomfortableville for the rest of the trip. That's never good. So traveling with a new girlfriend or boyfriend, new partner for the first time, that's a challenge. Like I know people that have been dating for a while. They go on one trip, they come back from the trip, they've broken up. Like you can learn a lot about a person on trips. So, we'll see.
And especially you can learn with a very, very attractive girl bouncing around the outside of all that. Yeah, you can. A whole lot can happen out of the blue.
Oh, yes, very true. I'll take a quick break. Coming up, we're going to do a little preview on the Detroit Red Wings as we continue to go around the NHL. We also have Rick LeLacheur, the president and CEO of the Elks. Of course, Chris Jones got fired yesterday. And we'll talk to Rick about that decision. But also, are they closing in on a sale? That's coming up at 5:20. But first, we'll get to Declan Kruger and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. Summer will be a blast with the return of the fan favorite watermelon explosion. Download the Booster Rewards app today and order one only at Booster Juice.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the NHL where the St. Louis Blues have announced that defenseman Torrey Krug has been diagnosed with pre-arthritic issues in his ankle. They are hoping for non-surgical intervention, but he is currently out indefinitely, and if surgery is required, he will miss the entire season. Other news in the NHL as the Vancouver Canucks have reached a 2-year deal with playoff starter Arthur Sheloffs. The deal is worth an $850,000 average annual value. One more time, if you missed it, the Los Angeles Kings have signed forward Quinton Byfield to a 5-year, $31.25 million contract extension, tying him with the club through 2028-2029. MLB All-Star Game going tonight between the NL and AL. On the mound for the two clubs with the first pitch at 6 p.m. our time will be Corbin Burns and Paul Skeens. News out of the NFL is wide receiver Brandon Ayuk of the San Francisco 49ers has requested a trade from the club. And the Chicago Bears have reached deals on their 2 first-round selections in this year's past draft. Caleb Williams, the quarterback from USC, who went number 1 overall in the draft, has signed a 4-year, $39 million rookie deal, while Rome Odunze, the wide receiver from Washington, has signed a 4-year, $22.27 million deal. Other news in the sporting world is out of the NBA. The father of Kobe Bryant, Jelly Bean Bryant, has passed away at the age of 69. 12-year NBA vet Pat Beverly has signed with the Israeli team of the Israeli Basketball Premier League Hapoel Tel Aviv BC, and Gary Trent Jr., the former Toronto Raptor guard, has signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Ansar Khan of MW Live, Jed Roberts, and we'll ask 5 questions. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Rule number 41, never challenge a goose in the Bow Valley. They run this town and they know it. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk, elevate your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Hey, if you're a basketball fan, you're going to want to check out the Basketball Show here on Sports 1440. I'm Paul Sir, and I'll be your host every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon right here on Sports 1440.
Ennio and Jason are friends.
Hey, buddy.
What's up, buddy? Except when they talk hockey.
Mm-hmm. Edmonton had all those first overall picks, and they still can't win.
Yeah, but we still beat
Welcome back.
Battle of Alberta champs, baby. But ask them who makes the best beef jerky in Alberta, and they'll tell you.
Wilhauk beef jerky.
It might be the only thing Alberta hockey fans can agree on.
Pick up some Wilhauk beef jerky today in Leduc, Spruce Grove, and West Edmonton Mall.
You don't work for GMC, but it's kind of like you do because you pay what we pay. GMC employee pricing is on now on all 2024 GMC Sierra half tons and Hummers. Oh, but at Wolf GMC Buick, it's even better. Get GMC employee pricing on every in-stock 2024 GMC. If it's new and a 2024 and it has that beautiful GMC logo on it, then it's GMC employee priced. Pay what we pay, but only until July 25th. Get into Wolf GMC Buick now and see the over 200 GMCs in stock.
Now, all sizes of premium roast coffee at McDonald's have a new low price starting at $1 plus tax for a small. It's great if you love great tasting coffee. $1 small premium roast coffee every single day. Must be McCafe. Plus tax at participating restaurants in Canada. Excludes delivery.
Some people see their RV as a way to travel the countryside and explore the great outdoors. For others, it's more like a summer cottage. Sure, it's got wheels, but that doesn't mean that you have to roll it around all the time. And I know someone who uses his RV exactly like this. It's Rick Showers from No Bull RV. Hey, Rick, when was the last time you hooked up your trailer and took it somewhere?
Been years, Bob.
You just leave it in one place?
Well, you have to see our campsite. It's near Seba Beach. There's lots of privacy. It's a heavily wooded area, but very close to the lake, with full water and electrical hookup. So my wife, Deanna, and I enjoy cottage life with all its beauty and all the comforts of home.
And the RV you use as a cottage, did you buy it new?
Bob, what are you, nuts? I can happily find you an RV as nice as mine. Got dozens of them on the lot right now. And Deanna and I are living proof that you don't have to pay new RV prices to live the dream.
And that's No Bull.
NobleRV.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantor. We are
Facebook, boys, I have to say, I really like the questions for you and TR. You should make that a regular segment. We might have to. It seems it's fairly popular. So thanks for that. Welcome back. It's Tuesday. It's hot. So be hydrated. Please don't leave your kids or your dog, any pets in your vehicles. Please don't do it. I always would you leave yourself in there? Probably not. Why? Because it's gross hot. Now, it is a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Hey, speaking of hot, how about $60 million in Lotto Max? You can get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. It's been an interesting offseason in the Eastern Conference. There's lots of question marks with a lot of teams, and can they take a step? Are some teams going to take a step back? One of those teams, of course, the Detroit Red Wings, who still have a significant amount of cap space if they want to. Now they do have to sign some guys, and that's what we're going to talk about now. A longtime beat reporter for the Detroit Red Wings, Ansar Khan, joins us once again. Ansar, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I guess let's start. They have a lot of cap space because you know what? They got to sign Lucas Raymond. They got to sign Joe Veleno. And then, of course, Mo Sider. Where are they at? Sider, I'm assuming, in Raymond, they'd like to do longer-term deals. Do you foresee that happening?
Yeah, they certainly would like to get those guys locked up to the maximum 8-year deals. Yzerman indicated recently at the draft, he doesn't think they're close. Wouldn't be surprised if it takes a while here. It's obviously eventually going to get done before training camp, but it's still going to take a while. And I suspect that if they can't by that time get agree on something long term, that they'll just have to go the bridge deal route.
When you look at the goaltending situation, Ville Husso, Cam Talbot, Alex Lyon, who do you see as the odd guy out when the season begins?
I think they're going to start with 3. They have the roster space. They've got they'll have the cap room, and that's what they did last year. And I think at least initially they need to start with 3 simply because they don't know what to expect from Husso. They certainly can't, and they wouldn't want to get rid of a Lion. He played well for them last year. Was a bit of a savior, but they just don't know. Husso missed the last 2/3 of the season with an injury, with a couple of different injuries. He really hasn't been the same since about the 3/4 mark of his first season here 2 years ago. My guess is ideally if one had to go, he would be the guy to go. He's not tradable, not coming off the long-term injury, and with his contract, it would basically have to be a case where they just waive him and bury him in the minors. But like I said, they don't need to go that route right now because they do have the space for 3 goalies, and I think they're certainly eager to see how he is right here at the start of camp, whether he's ready to go, how he's going to perform, is he going to stay healthy? So a lot of question marks in goal right now.
One quick follow-up to that. They also signed Jack Campbell, but they have Sebastian Cossa. So I guess, that they have the 2 goalies, Campbell and Cossa, to start in the minors. But if you have to send one of those guys down on waivers and doesn't get claimed, what are they doing? Sending Jack Campbell to the East Coast League?
No, Campbell will be with Cossa in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, no, but I meant if they sent one of the 3 down, like let's say Husso's playing well a month into the season.
Yeah. I see what you're saying there. No, they would probably they'd have the same problem down there. 3 goalies, and I guess I can't foresee them sending Campbell or Husso to Toledo. So yeah, I think any way you look at it, though, I still think waiving Husso would be a long shot. I think they would be more inclined to just keep 3 goalies.
All right, TR.
I'm good. I got nothing. Go ahead.
Now, looking at the Red Wings and overall, Ansar, like people thought when Steve Yzerman took over that, he would get them back in, and they've made strides, but they haven't taken a big enough step. If you look at their roster today, when you compare it to what Washington did in the offseason and Buffalo and Ottawa and, the other team, Pittsburgh, who hasn't done a lot, I admit, like, are they better? Are they a team that can close that gap and finally get back to the postseason?
I just don't see it. I think they took a step back with the off season here, simply because they lost a lot of offense. They lost 75 goals in players that are no longer with them since the end of last season, and they recouped some of it with Tarasenko and what they expect to get from Jonathan Berggren, who will be up from Grand Rapids. But it's still quite a deficit there. And, they hope to make up some of that deficit with improvement from within, and also, better goals against, which they clearly need better goals against. I think they were like 24th in the league last year.
Mm-hmm.
Better defensive play. I think they will be better defensively. I think Gustafsson over Gostisbehere. They took a hit on the power play there, losing Gostisbehere, and there's 29 power play points. But I think Gustafsson will be better defensively, and I think Cam Talbot will be an upgrade in goal over what they got from Husso last year.
What happened with? What happened with Jake Wallman? Like, 2 years ago, people were loving this guy. He thought he was on the, the escalator going up. What happened?
Yeah, he fell out of favor with the coaches, I think, right around sometime around mid-season or something. They split him up with from Cider. They had been the top pairing, and toward the second half of the previous season, they were very solid, and that's really when his game took off, and he signed the extension. He really benefited. He had a good year. He benefited playing with Cider, but then when they when they split him up from Cider and moved him down in the pecking order, his play regressed, and apparently he didn't handle it well, because he was the healthy scratch down the stretch in, I think, the last 10, 12 games. And pretty much the handwriting was on the wall there at that point.
Ansar Khan joins us. What about Justin Holl? I know in Toronto, they didn't like him very much. He started out down the depth chart in Detroit. Did his play improve as the season went along?
Not really. It's hard to say, because he just never got a chance. He was the odd man out. He only played 3 games after the All-Star break. And a lot of it was a case where they were crowded on defense, and they kind of were thinking that, they're going to have injuries are going to be inevitable, but they were remarkably healthy on defense for most of the year. So Hall only ended up playing 38 games. He was the guy that I thought they would have tried to move before Wallman, but I don't know if they had to throw in a second round pick to get rid of the entirety of Wallman's contract. I have to imagine that Hall would have been even more difficult to move the entire contract. They had the same 2 years at $3.4 million left for each. But I just don't. The way it looks right now, they're going to start with 8 defensemen, and once again, I see Hall as being the number 7 guy.
Looking at their forward group, Daniel Sprong is a guy. He's always a free agent. All he does is score goals. Like, he doesn't get paid a lot, and he produces. What's the situation there? Are they waiting to say, hey, we'd like to sign you, but we want to see just how much cap space we have based on the Raymond and Cider contracts?
It's possible that they could revisit that, but he's another guy defensively. He provided offense, especially when you consider he didn't play a lot of minutes. I think 11, 12 minutes a game. and he was an offensive threat. I think 18 goals. But coaches mentioned multiple times how the way Tarek Lalonde phrased it, he had his fingerprints all over that goal. They just weren't pleased with his defensive game, and ultimately, I think that's what has prevented them from already signing him. Although I am surprised that he hasn't latched on to another team. Like I said, fairly productive the last couple of years, and I'm sure that he can be signed fairly inexpensively on a short-term deal, but he's still out there.
And other young guys in their organization, defenseman Simon Edmondson, you know what? I know he got into 25 games last year. I think they're looking to play him more. Marco Casper, any of their other first-round high draft picks, any of them coming in this season?
No, just Edmondson. The two guys that are up from Grand Rapids, Edmondson and Jonathan Berggren, and actually Albert Johansson, a defenseman too, a second-round pick from a few years ago. In the case of Johansson, though, he is out of options. He's no longer waiver exempt, and they're certainly not going to waive him after taking the time to develop him in the last few years.
Yeah.
So he'll be one of 8 defensemen.
Jeez.
Right now, I don't think he would crack the top 6, so it's up to him to kind of work his way into the lineup. Berggren, yes, offensive guy. He'll be up this year from the start. He was disappointed to spend most of last season in Grand Rapids after scoring 15 goals the year before. And Edmondson, the defenseman, he finished the year in the second pairing with Jeff Petrie, and I suspect that would be where he plays at the start of this season.
Ansar, great stuff, man. Really appreciate the rundown. Have an awesome day.
Thank you.
There you go. That's Ansar Khan joining us from Detroit. You know what, though? What I like about Ansar, I don't think they've improved enough. He doesn't see it, right? So they've got Mo Seider. They got Lucas Raymond. But look at their defense core. So you've got Mo Seider. After that, you got Ben Sherratt, Justin Hall, Oli Mata, Jeff Petrie, Eric Gustafson, young Simon Edmondson, right? So Petrie's a guy who, in the later stages of his career. Oli Mata's bounced around, kind of discarded by a lot of teams. Justin Hall, same thing. Ben Sherratt. I'm kind of surprised what they really didn't do anything to improve their back end TR. Like nothing. I don't see how they're any better. So we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll get to more of that. We got Jed Roberts coming up. Roberts is going to talk about Elmondo Sewell's in as the D-line coach of the Elks. How's that going to help him? That and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey, it's Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. It's our final clear out of classic Ram 1500 trucks, and I do mean final. This is your last chance to get 25% off a brand new Ram truck. We still have some inventory left, but when they're gone, they're really gone. Or get an iconic Jeep Wrangler with up to $7,500 off. 0% financing available on every model. And we have a couple of the rare 500 horsepower 392 Wranglers in stock now. St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge, Edmonton's best rated Ram and Jeep dealers.
Hey, Leduc, can leading edge physiotherapy help you? Well, this is a question I face every day. Let me answer the best I can. Do you have a pain or injury to your toe, foot, ankle, knee, hip, lower back, middle back, neck, shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, or finger? Are you dealing with a sprain, strain, fracture, tendonitis, bursitis, arthritis, dizziness, balance issues, surgery, whiplash, or headache? Okay. I can't list all the problems that we can help in leading edge physio in under 30 seconds, and I can't promise we fix everyone. But I can promise that we'll combine our experience, skills, technology, and hands-on care to give you an edge. Life shouldn't hurt. Find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
Move Water is your one-stop shop for all things water. From freshwater to wastewater, we've got the pumps and solutions to keep your water moving where it matters most.
Move Water, your water solution experts.
Visit movewater.ca today.
Edmonton is a great sports town. I've been there, I know. My name is Jason Smith. I host a late-night talk show here on Sports 1440. Join me and Mike Harmon tonight from 9 to midnight. There's always a ton of things to talk about, so tune in. Sports 1440.
Hey, it's Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. It's our final clear out of classic Ram 1500 trucks, and I do mean final. This is your last chance to get 25% off a brand new Ram truck. We still have some inventory left, but when they're gone, they're really gone. Or get an iconic Jeep Wrangler with up to $7,500 off. 0% financing available on every model. And we have a couple of the rare 500 horsepower 392 Wranglers in stock now. St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge, Edmonton's best rated Ram and Jeep dealers.
Stingray All Good Vibes with Prime Video channels is your ticket to thousands of concerts and karaoke songs. Benefit from the Prime Day promotion between July 10th to 17th. Subscribe today to receive 2 months of service at 99 cents per month.
Welcome to California.
Go to primevideo.com/Stingray for concerts, karaoke, and more. Prime subscription is required.
Brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer long, especially this coming week. Get it booked now at legacyheating.ca. As we have, he is still the all-time leader in special teams tackles for the Green and Gold, Grey Cup champion, all-around good dude, Jed Roberts, former member of the Green and Gold, joins us. Jed, how you doing? Oh, by the way, what was your favorite number, 43 or 76?
I loved them both. Like 76 was my dad's number. I had to change my number late in my career because they changed the eligibility rules on special teams.
Right.
And I couldn't be in the front line there with an ineligible number, which 43 was ineligible at that time. So I switched to 76, which was my dad's number, when he played for the Ottawa Rough Riders from 64 to 70. So Dwayne was kind enough to let me have 76, even though George McGowan had worn it. And I don't think anybody had ever worn it really after. And then after that, Randy Spencer came in and made it look really good too. So it's a good number.
I like it. Hey, you played the D line a lot in your career. What do you make of the Elks D line? I watched that Ottawa game, Jed, and my goodness, that might have been the least amount of pressure I've seen a team put on an opposing quarterback.
Yeah, I don't really understand I didn't until now, and I know they're trying to make some moves to address it, but you look at a defense, and every defense has an identity. And when I look at this defense, I don't know what that identity is, right? Because it's just like they keep trying different things, and they don't really seem to do any one thing particularly well, and which is weird because with Coach Chris Jones, everybody knows him as being,
can you get Declan to put
this incredible defensive mind, and he is. He's one of the greatest coordinators the league's ever seen. His record kind of speaks for itself up until he became the head coach here. But I couldn't figure it out because before he used to like the 3-man front, which gave him the flexibility to bring pressure from different areas and would confound quarterbacks. But for some reason this year they were running more 40, which is a 4-man front, which, okay, that's fine, but you've got to have good edge rushers to do that, right? And they don't really seem to have that. So they're not generating any pressure, which is a real big problem when you're playing against a good quarterback. It just picks you apart, and it's not just the throws, it's just the deep throws, I don't really understand what's going on defensively right now. So I'm hoping maybe they can shore that up this week because, man, 6 throws for over 270 yards, that's unacceptable. You just can't give that kind of yardage up.
So I read your post that you wrote. You always have good analysis of the games. And you talked about the DBs. And so pressure is one thing, and they're not getting it. So obviously that puts more stress on the DBs. But you're also seeing lots of mistakes from the DBs and getting locked in and kind of committing to guys when they shouldn't be.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like they're communicating back there. And it doesn't look like they're passing guys off. And I'll start this by saying that if you're not getting pressure, I don't care how good your secondary is, you're going to give up throws. You can't, if the guy's got, time to hit his 3rd and 4th reads, you're already done, right? Because I don't care how good you are. You know, there's a couple of guys in that secondary that are really, really good, but the lack of pressure makes them look ordinary, you know, and that's a shame because this team has some real pressure up, some serious talent in some spots. But that's being overshadowed by some schematic issues they have there and I think it just starts with pressure. And once they get that going, once they can cause a little bit of chaos up front, it'll alleviate the pressure. I mean, they've got great linebackers too, but you wouldn't know it because the ball's being thrown downfield so far, you know. And I don't know. It seems like they're not, you know, the deep guys are reacting up and playing intermediate stuff when they should be staying deep and playing their responsibility. And that's what happens when things start to break down. Guys try to do too much, and it just makes it that much worse. So,
Jed Roberts joined us breaking down the Elks 0-5, and Jed, you know, winning is contagious. I think losing's contagious. Right now, the Elks find ways to lose more than anyone. I've never seen a team lose like they did in the last 8 seconds of that game before. You're a longtime special teams guy. Like, do you not just squib kick it in the middle of the field there?
Yes. Again, I'm not really, you know, there's one theory, a school of thought that says that he was trying to kick it out of the end zone, which that's great. I mean, maybe he muffed it. I don't know. I mean, he's considered by some to be the best kicker in the league, so I can't really see that. It looked to me like he was trying to squib it, which means, for those of you who don't know what that means, it's you kick it kind of low and hard out to the middle of the field, and the idea behind that is once they touch the ball, the clock starts. If you kick it deep and you kick it out of the end zone, you basically stop the clock, and the clock never actually runs. It just goes out the end zone, which you get a point, but that, you know, they can still make a play with 8 seconds left, which is basically what they did. I mean, they kicked it out of bounds, and then they got the ball on the 50 or whatever it was, and it was just insane. One throw, bang, lining up for field goal, win the game. You know, I've never, like I said, I agree with you, Jason. I've never seen a team consistently snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat. Just, you know, and vice versa, right? It's just like this. I don't even have an answer for it, you know. And it's one of those things where winning is contagious, but so is losing, you know. And losing is part of one of those things is you just find ways to make poor decisions at critical times, you know, like throwing a guy down after a turnover and getting 15-yard penalty added on top of it. I mean, you can't help a good team out, you know, like that. Ottawa's got a pretty good team over there. So, but you know, Edmonton, I stick by my assertion. They've got talent and they've got the guys in the room to do it. They just need to get it together.
So Chris Jones leaving, I don't know. He was a DC for a long time. I know they brought in Shivers. I always wondered, you know, how much say, I guess we'll find out here, right? Now moving forward, how much say anybody else had in some of these decisions offensively and defensively and even on special teams.
Yeah, and nobody knows, right? Like I can speculate all day long, but I'm not in the room, you know, and I'll be the first one to say that I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, nobody knows what the dynamics are in there except for the guys in the room. And, you know, it's kind of going to be on them. They have to eliminate the distractions and just focus on the task at hand. And, you know, they've got the talent. They haven't been, you know, teams haven't been blowing them out or manhandling them. They're just beating themselves at this point. And, you know, and sooner or later that starts to take a toll and guys start to quit. And that's the danger. You just got to keep playing. You know, and I like what Rick LeLacheur said yesterday is you divide the season up into thirds, right? They're just about done with the first third and then they got to move into the second third. They haven't done themselves any favors by, 0-5, but the season is still salvageable. I remember in, I think it was 2000, BC went on a run and it finished 8-10, and they had the best team in the league at the end of the year, and they won the Grey Cup. And I'm kind of thinking that this team has as much talent as that unit did, if not more.
Jed Roberts joined us. Like Jed, I know you're not that far removed. The alumni football guys talk a lot, and like when you watch like Chris Jones, hey, the record, you are what your record says you are, right? You can only get by on, wow, we're close for so long. 8 wins and 33 losses in 3 years as the GM and head coach. Like, it's brutal, right? Like, I think he has the worst record, because most guys don't last that long, but he has the worst coaching record of anybody who coached over 30 games. Right?
Yeah, and you can't defend that.
No.
That's indefensible. Like, and the numbers don't lie, and it doesn't matter how much you lost by. In 50 years, nobody's going to know anyway or care. So they're just going to see 0-5. So, yeah, they've just got to a lot of the problem, a lot of the things that happen, people, getting really upset about all the things that are happening. It really, it all that matters is what's going on in the field. If they win games, people don't complain as loud, But when you lose, everything's magnified. Oh, the backup quarterback's better. Oh, they changed the name. Oh, the cursive, and it's just on and on and on and endless. But those are all distractions, and those guys have to tune that out. And they need to do the little things, and they need to do the extra work and communicate. Like, that's the big problem, I think, right now, is that they're not communicating, especially on defense on the back end there. And it's fixable. Like, it's crazy because if they change a couple of things, they're probably limiting opponents to, under 20 points because that's how much talent they have. I mean, you can't tell me that Purifoy is not one of the best safeties in the league. So, and you can't tell me that Oakman isn't dominant. I think when he gets into game shape, it's going to be scary. I was watching him pretty closely in the game there, and he was disruptive. As out of shape as he is right now because he hasn't been playing, he creates a lot of problems inside, and they can build off of that, right? Like, it's great for Niles Morgan to have that in front of him. So, I'm confident they can get it going, but it's not going to be easy.
What about their special teams? They've got a pretty good return guy. Do you see, as a guy who was on special teams a lot of times of your career, Jed, so I'm sure you pick up on little nuances. What do you make of their punt return team and kickoff return team?
My big thing on punt return is, like, if you're going to do one returner, then you've got to create some pressure off one of the edges and force the kicker to kick it away from where he wants to kick it. If you're going to keep two returners back, then you've got to have the off returner blocking. I mean, it's pretty simple. Like, people try to make it complicated, but it's not.
Okay.
And I think that the returners they have are actually quite good.
Yeah.
And, it's just a matter of breaking one or two. And it's just like, you talk about winning being contagious and losing being contagious. And like that sort of thing, it's a momentum thing, right? Like, you get a couple big returns, people start to feel pretty good back there, and they work a little bit extra to sustain their blocks. And a lot of it is just making really bad decisions. They've had some pretty big plays called back because of poor decisions and poor choices, especially early on in the season. And that stuff starts to wear on people, and people start to second guess themselves. I mean, you just got to pin your ears out and play. Stop thinking so much.
Because the reaction time on special teams, right? Like, it's so fast, guys, but it's still controlled chaos. And the best return and the best guys downfield can go 100 miles an hour, but still make the decision, right? It's not just like, hey, we put the best athletes out there and they just run wild. There's still a lot of, I think, cerebral chaos on special teams.
And one thing that I really liked and appreciated about Gizmo when I played against him is he made us all look really good because he was probably the best returner that ever lived. Apologies to Devin Hester, but he also would do little things like take two steps opposite the direction he was going to allow us to sink our blocks. Guys would adjust, and then we would be in position. And I think that that's a communication thing too, just like we need to be doing on the defensive back end. Guys need to be talking to each other on defense and saying, okay, and watching your opponent the week before and figuring out, how does this guy like to release when I'm covering on him on punt return? How is the guy across from me going to cover me on punt team? Like, you got to be doing these things visually and mentally and playing the game in your head before the game's even played. You can't just show up and play at this level. And I know I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but you're very right, Jason. It's such a cerebral game, and those little things that you do during the week, the game's won or lost during the week. It's not won or lost on Saturday or Sunday or whenever they're playing these games.
Jed Roberts joins us. Jed, what's your thoughts on like getting rid of Chris Jones, right? As GM, as head coach, being there for a long time. Now I know they promoted guys from within, right? So you promote the GM, and I'm not sure that impacts the guys, but what about the coach, right? So Jarius Jackson comes in, he was the OC. Now he's going to be the head coach as well. How difficult of a transition is that? Because when you're the OC, on offense or defense, you really focus on one side of the ball, and you're kind of the go-between. You're not as much of the hard ass. So do you think it's going to be difficult for him to take over being a head coach now?
I don't know. This isn't unprecedented around here, especially lately with all the turnover we've had in coaches. But I can speak to my own personal experience. I think it was 2001, maybe. I think when Don Matthews left in the middle of the season.
Yeah, that was my first year covering the team. I was on the beat for like a week, and I'm like, oh, this is new.
Yeah, and you remember, and then 99 was very similar to this year, right? Like lots of turnover, people in the door, like people would be there for a couple of days, and then we'd never see them again, and so that was really disruptive, And I think there was an element of Chris Jones and the way Don Matthews approached it. And I think that he kind of got a little bit sidetracked by whatever it was that was going on in his own life at that point. He ended up leaving Matt halfway through the season, and then Higgins came in and did a masterful job of just letting the coordinators coach, you know, and Machocha was one of the coordinators, and on defense, I think we had Greg Marshall and Rick Campbell. And, you know, that's when you really see those guys start to step up when something like that happens, and you just got to eliminate the distractions. And then your head coach is just basically a voice, not really doing anything tactical. They're just kind of saying, okay, this is what we're doing this week. They set the schedule. They talk about like what to expect, and just keep everything as predictable as possible. The thing I like about them promoting Jerry and people from within is that there's no unfamiliarity there. Like the people already know what to expect. And I don't think that guy's going to change his personality overnight, especially not in the middle of the season, right? Like you're just basically switching horses in midstream, and you know, you're going to stay on the horse and get out of the water. You're not going to sit there and swim around and drown, right? You want to make sure that you're creating momentum and you want to keep moving forward. I think that the guys are professionals, and I think that they know, you know, what's at stake. And I think if nothing else, it puts a little bit of the fear of God into everybody and realize, oh, holy cow, they fired that guy, they'll fire me too. So I better get going. So I think you'll see a little bit of a dead cat bounce. You know, there'll be a little bit of momentum. You know, they'll be playing a little bit harder. And I think that if they can win this game and start to string some wins together, you know, it could be interesting to watch this team down the stretch.
Jed, great stuff. Lastly, Elmondo Sewell takes over on the D line. His predecessor stepped down and only been here for a few weeks. You know, Elmondo's fresh out of the league. Well, what do you think he can add to help on the D line?
I think that he's an intense guy, and I think that you know, I played under Greg Marshall, and I think that there's a bit of a similarity in the way that those two guys approached the game. They were pretty quiet when they played. They weren't rah-rah guys, and as coaches, they were pretty quiet as well. But you just respected them, and you knew not to, like, you know, because Leroy Blue and Malvin Hunter like to joke around during meetings, but they sure didn't try that with Greg. Like Greg didn't tolerate that. So okay. I see Mondo doing that. And the other thing I like is the fact that he's got a bit of a, you know, he knows the culture, and he knows what it's like to play for that team when it's winning. And I think that it's just really not a whole lot not to like about that move. I think that him being in town and, you know, him being a local guy, we need more of that. Like we need to stop all this people coming in and leaving, and it's very difficult for fans to relate to that. And I think that bringing a guy like Mondo in is just a slam dunk.
Jed, as always, man, great to catch up with you. Hope things are well. Enjoy school, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much, Jason.
That is Jed Roberts. He's excellent at breaking things down, so I could have him on a few times. Still very passionate about the team. Understands it on special teams and defense. And obviously, if you understand defense, you got to understand offense, right? Kind of goes part and partial. And he looks at it, feels like, you know what, at times there's a lack of communication from the players on the field, right? You've got some coaching. He wasn't really sure, you know, Jones, there wasn't a lot of continuity in what he was running defensively. So we'll see. Is it just one guy? It's easy to pin it all on one. I don't think you can. Now he's responsible because he's also the GM, and he was responsible of bringing in the players. And if the players aren't good enough, that's on the GM, not the coach. But he's both. So we will find out. Is there a scheme that's going to allow them to get more pressure? Because they need more pressure. You can't continually ask your DBs to cover that long. If you do, we've seen what happens. We'll come back. 5 questions on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 12. Not spending the afternoon tubing on the Pembina? Next, you'll tell us you don't wear flannel. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is still the #1 company for families who don't want to see Dad in his underwear. Come on, we warned you about a heat wave.
of a while ago, and lo and behold, here we are. So call Legacy now before the heat wave convinces Dad to cool down in a kiddie pool in your front yard. Yeah, we've still got air conditioners in stock, and yes, you won't have payments or interest for 1 year. Keeping Dad from bathing in public during a heat wave. That's how you save your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Sports world never clocks out. Neither do we. Sports 1440 has you covered with Fox Sports tonight after 9 and all weekend long. So when you're ready to head home, we're warming up again. Sports 1440, bringing you an all-star performance every day.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
No matter where you're heading, Co-op Card Locks are open and ready to fuel your summer. A Co-op Card Lock card unlocks round-the-clock access to over 390 conveniently located fuel stops across Western Canada so that you can fuel up anytime, day or night. We're proud to be Western Canada's largest card lock network, with many locations offering amenities such as convenience stores, showers, and overnight parking. So whether you're fueling your work vehicle or a farm truck, Co-op keeps you on the road. Co-op, fueling Western Canada.
Tuesday edition of the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. I can tell you right now, tomorrow, who is it Wednesday guest? I'll just say this. It's going to be fun. All right. I think many of you know who it is. Well, you'll know who it is. We'll see if you can figure it out in our hints in the first hour, but it will be entertaining and fiery. All right. So tomorrow, 3:00, tune in. Let's get to 5 questions now, brought to you by The Brick. Right now, you can take up to 40% off of mattresses and find up to 25% off of bedroom and dining packages only at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, question number 1. Quinton Byfield has agreed to a 5-year, $31.25 million extension with the LA Kings. And for my money, one of the better young players in the league. Now, what are your guys' thoughts on this contract and the potential value it has for the Kings? And of course, your thoughts on the contract for Quinton himself.
I think it's a fantastic deal for the Kings. I love his style. He's a big, big guy that just put up, I believe, 20 goals. So I think he's worth that now. I really think the kid just signed for $31 million. It's awesome. But I think the team made out great here, and I think the future looks bright.
Yeah, you look at his signing, and he had 55 points in 80 games. I think that the interesting part will be what he does moving forward now for LA, because I think there's lots of talk they want to move him to center ice. And To me, that's going to be the key. The other thing was he didn't have a boatload of those points on the power play. I think it was like less than 15. So good news. He had a lot of even strength points, which is nice, which means there's lots of room to grow, right? Like if you're a guy who's 80-point player and you got 35 or plus points in the power play, it's hard to think you're going to get that much more. Whereas Byfield, if he can get on the power play, which I think you'll see a little bit more of this year, that'll help him. So their power play's got to get better. But I like Byfield. I'm very curious to see. I think he's ready now to be a center. I like Deneau, but to me, Deneau is a third-line center. He's not a second-line center. He doesn't bring enough offense for me.
Question number 2. Rumors have been flying around Jacob Trouba and his time with the New York Rangers, but it looks like he'll be back with them for this season. Given the cap situation they find coming next summer, and the potential likelihood he wouldn't be on the team or he'd be moved because of it, what would his best landing spot be?
Well, you know what? He has the no movement clause, and I know people are all freaking out, but that's why he signed it, and that's why he got it, right? Because his is much more of a family decision. You know what? His wife's a doctor. And, I think she's in residence right now. So, you know what? Hey, that's why I got the no movement clause. I don't care if you guys want to trade me. It's not just about hockey. And even if you don't necessarily like me or what I make and what I can do. So another landing spot, realistically, for him would obviously be New Jersey or the Islanders, which I know is odd, but because that's close, you could probably make it work. I guess if he knows that they have a year that, maybe his wife, they can look at other places and then make a decision. And if that's the case, then, there'll be lots of options. New York's going to have to eat it because if Jacob Trouba is a $5 million, $6 million defender, you know what? I know that, at times last year was playing their third pair. But I still think like they got a pretty good defense. I think on a lot of teams, he'd still be a top 4 guy. So that'll help him. He still brings an element TR that not a lot of guys have. There's not many guys who can bring that physicality to him. And I think as long as he doesn't lose his foot speed, that's my one concern. And I wonder on the other thing is, does he relinquish his captaincy? Does he just say, okay, you know what? The team doesn't want me here. That's fine. It's probably not best for me to be captain. I'm curious what happens there.
I'm really curious what happens there. Yeah. Because if you're a good captain, you probably do give it up, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot that goes into this. There's a lot of layers to it because, like you said, I mean, it's pretty much public knowledge that it's a family decision. So he wants to stay in that area. Now, if that wasn't part of the equation, I like him in a place like Chicago. Now, I know that, first of all, I love physical right shot defensemen. I just think, like you said, he's on the back nine for sure. And that foot speed would be a question. But somewhere like that where you've got more room for error and, he's as intimidating as a goon of yesteryear, and there are going to be young players, kind of the obvious on Chicago, maybe San Jose, the same thing. I can see him going to a place like that has space, cap space, and, protect / lead the young guys. But again, geography says that that's probably not going to happen.
Question number 3. ESPN is in the process of releasing their top 100 athletes of the 21st century. I have some issues with the list so far. Personally, they've released their 100 through 51. And as such, is there one athlete so far that you think is ranked too high and one that you think is ranked too low? And of note, for anyone who didn't know, Connor McDavid came in at 98th.
Yeah. That one, I don't understand how you can say there's 97 better athletes. Look at what he's already won in his career. How can anybody suggest that that's where it just illustrates that ESPN, I don't think really understands or respects hockey. So it's just hard for me to have him anywhere there. Also, I think St. Pierre was 76. I'm curious how many MMA guys are ahead of him because there can't be that many. If you just look at a pure tactician of mixed martial arts, he was elite of elite. He might not be the most exciting. That's what I'm talking about. I'm just talking as a tactician and that. So I'd be curious who's ahead of him.
For me, guys, I find this so hard, like to include so many team sports, individual sports, genders. Like, I don't know. Like, and again, this isn't don't want to get political at all. Especially now I'm watching the WNBA, but if that's been around for way less than the NBA, how can you compare cross-platform, scoring statistics, how many, where you fall in all-time ranking in each sport? Or let's go, it's not a gender thing. Let's say Shaun White, who got, I think, medals on the, if I'm not mistaken, snowboard half pipe. How do you compare that with Ty Cobb 86 years ago? I just find it really hard. I guess it gets people talking, and if nothing else, people get mentioned and brought up into the limelight that probably otherwise wouldn't be, and it's never a bad thing. I mean, it's an art, but to me, I just find it's very, very hard to equate. And I know what you mean. Connor McDavid's down there, but if you took every single sport, I mean, if you took the best dart thrower, and I guess that's not included, but there's a lot of sports across a lot of platforms, a lot of time included there. And, you could take the first 10 baseball players and make an argument that they're the top 10. Where's Wayne Gretzky there? Because if you really...
it's only from 2000 and on. So Gretzky's not going to be involved.
Right? Oh, it's only from 2000 and on.
Yes.
Well, then what is McDavid doing? Okay, yeah, I thought it was all time. I was going, okay, I can kind of see. No, yeah. Well, if it's only 2000 on, then I agree with what you said. Like I said, I did look at the list. I was curious. I didn't realize it was only, I guess that's on me. But yeah, I find it just hard to compare it all. You could make an argument that every person was number 1 or number 100.
Yeah. Wow. All I know is when you put Jason Kidd 69th and Connor McDavid 98th, like Jason Kidd was a really good basketball player. Was he ever the best player in his league at any point? No. So how is he ahead? Stupid.
And listen, are you saying the reason I thought it was pre is because I saw Derek Jeter's name? Yeah. Now, are they taking Jeter of 2002? Or are they taking?
Any player who played in the 2000s.
Well, then, like on their 2000s, or then why isn't Jeter higher than number like 63 or whatever it is? If we're talking athletes that have been around and what they've done, I mean, wouldn't you think he'd be a bit higher than that?
Well, see, it's funny. I think Derek Jeter, in a lot of people's eyes, was overrated because he was a Yankee. He was overhyped. He was really good. But if you look at a lot of his fielding numbers and everything else, they're actually not that great.
No, but since the 2000s, though.
Yeah. No, since 2000s. Yeah, probably fair. There's some other guys in baseball. But it's funny. Like Adrian Beltre was rated ahead of him. 5-time Gold Glove winner. Really good hitter. So Jeter played on some unreal teams. Good player. But Mariano Rivera is better than him. Like, I love Steve Nash. I love Steve Nash as a player. But when I look at Steve Nash in the basketball world, and yeah, he's a 2-time MVP, and I put Connor McDavid here, I'm sorry. Like, it's just ESPN illustrates time and time again they have no clue in how difficult hockey is. Like, none. So
we'll have a talk, maybe my next tale. Yeah, I know what you're saying about Jeter, but I still think I know what you mean. A lot of people that don't follow it, he's so popular, you would think his numbers would be better, but I think a lot of that team stuff comes into it. But anyway, that's an argument for another day. I agree with you that ESPN's out to lunch.
Just for reference, Jason, what you were saying about MMA there, John Jones came in at number 66, and I would be pretty hard-pressed to believe they'll have another MMA fighter higher than that. Question number 4, in honor of Chris Jones getting fired, honor is not really the right word, but in honor of him getting fired, was there a coach you ever had at any point in your life that you just couldn't stand?
Yeah, well, couldn't stand is probably a little bit harsh, but yeah, I had a coach who coached me in Pee Wee hockey who wasn't a good coach for Pee Wee. He was too intense, but then he coached me later when I was 17 in U17, and I loved him as a coach then. When I was older and more mature, he was better for that age group, right? He wasn't suited to coach 10 and 11-year-old kids, right? He was just too intense. So yeah, I would say that.
Well, for me, it's well documented. Go out and buy the book Tales of a First Round Nothing, and also mentioned in Tales with TR Fights, Film, and Folklore. Michel Therrien would be the man's name, and I'll let you do your own research there.
And finally, question number 5. I've been on a huge soccer kick lately. A lot of soccer content coming my way. I asked this about tennis last week, and I realized today at about 3 o'clock that asking a soccer Mount Rushmore is probably the worst sport you can do it for, because I think it's probably the one with the most consensus top 4. But I'll ask anyway, who is on your soccer Mount Rushmore? And is there, anyone who's kind of just off the list that didn't make it because a certain 4 names were so great?
For me, it's Maradona, Pele, Messi, and Ronaldo, okay? And that'll probably be a lot of people's top 4, but
that's why I realized it was a bad question.
Well, but it's worth, if any, put it this way, there's a guy that I watched a documentary on, and his name is Alfredo Di Stefano. It's good. No, it's a good question because you bring up the conversation. I never would have thought of this guy. And I went back and I looked, and I was doing this during I know soccer's got me intrigued again as well. But anyway, this guy's unbelievable. He played for Real Madrid like in the 50s. It's worth looking into. There's documentaries out there. They're on YouTube. There's a lot of like these players that, the further you go back, there was players that dominated. We just don't know much about them. I find soccer, because I watch it less, there's a lot of recency bias. But check out this guy, Alfredo Di Stefano. Trust me, he's an unreal athlete, one of the best soccer players ever.
Yeah, it would hard to have one of those 4 not on it. For sure. Because if you're just looking at longevity and history, I would, he was, the headbutt probably really hurt him, but Zidane was unreal for a long time. Beckenbauer was another guy, pretty good. Christine Sinclair would get honors because Christine Sinclair, it's funny, like ESPN is so grossly American biased in their stuff. It's comical. Because if you look at how they talk about American soccer players, and then Christine Sinclair, how many goals she scored, doesn't get any recognition. That's what, if Connor McDavid
was... Wait though. She could be, I'm assuming she's in the top 50 on that list. We don't know that yet.
Well, we'll see. If Connor McDavid's 98th, I ain't holding my breath if she's in the top 50, dude.
Well, she's the top lead international scorer ever, isn't she?
Dude, no. Well, yeah, but she didn't get the recognition when they talk the great song. It's all Mia Hamm and everybody else in the States. Like, you watch, I will be floored if she's there. Like, I think Sidney Crosby, because he played in this, you got to remember, Connor McDavid's Canadian and he plays in the Canadian market. Right? There's lots of reasons. Like ESPN, that's why I laugh at a lot of these things that they put out, because they're so blatantly like, why don't you just tell us, well, it's our top 100 list, but if you're American or you play in an American team, you're going to have more advantages. Like, just call spade a spade.
But come on, though. If you've got soccer, the most worldwide played game and the biggest international scorer ever, I assume, I'll be shocked if she's not in it. Really? You don't think she's going to be on that?
Dude, I don't. No.
I never pay attention to ESPN lists, but if she's not on that, then I've lost all respect. I mean, come on, you can't ignore. I could see if it was lawn darts. Really, I could see if it was a lot of sports that probably aren't popular or well publicized to some degree, and gender has nothing to do with it for me here. I'm saying she's the biggest all-time scorer. You have to give her flowers. You would have to put her in the top 10 soccer players, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, 100%. But you watch, man. I will be surprised if she is. Hope I'm wrong, but I will be surprised.
Along that similar line of thinking, there's a Brazilian female footballer named Marta, who some people think is better than both of them, and we'll see if she gets consideration. Because she should certainly be above Mia Hamm, who is on the list already.
Yeah, well, there's 2. There is Mia Hamm. I can't even remember the other woman soccer player that they had on there. So, yeah.
Even Mia Hamm would say that.
Yeah. Well, would she though? We'll see. It's. I'm curious where Usain Bolt's going to be.
Top 10.
Well, God, yeah, but Usain Bolt. Like honestly, Connor McDavid should be in the top 10. That's just, and that's not even being biased. It's just a fact. Look at what he's done. He's on.
Well, Mario Lemieux should.
No, he didn't play. Well, Mario Lemieux did play a little bit. You're right. If he played in the 2000s near the end, then yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah. No, but that's fair. He played in the 2000s, so we'll see. Yeah. But I look at Sidney Crosby will be there. They'll put Patrick Kane, who I think is a really good player, but I won't be surprised because he plays in Chicago. They won 3 cups. He'll be there. And like, hey, I like Patrick Kane a lot, but anybody in their right, Patrick Kane would tell you straight to his face, you think I'm better than Connor McDavid? Give me a break, right? So
if Patrick Kane is there and Christine Sinclair is not, I will chop off my right big toe and eat it for breakfast.
Well,
that's how confident I am.
Hope you're hungry.
Yeah, dude.
And I love Patrick Kane, by the way.
I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you an out. I'm going to give you an out. I don't want you to cut your toe off. I'm going to give you an out. So, yeah, that's
maybe I'll grow a silly haircut like you.
Sure, yeah, that I will not let you out of. But cutting your own toe off, it's a little extreme. So,
point being, it's not going to happen. She's going to be in there. Wait and see. Have faith,
buddy. I hope you're right, but I am not. I'm not holding out. I'm not holding my breath. Is all I'll say. So we'll see. TR, have yourself a great few days. We will chat with you on Thursday.
Thank you, Declan. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Edmonton, and we'll see you guys soon.
That's Terry Ryan joins us Tuesday and Thursday here on Sports 1440. We'll get the sports update. Then we got Spec and Rick LeLacheur. If you want to know what's going on in the green and gold, how close are they to a sale? Stay tuned. Here's Declan Kruger, Sports 1440 update brought to you by Hockey Hero Society and their big event that comes up on the 6th and 7th of September as they team up for their charity golf tournament featuring NHL alumni, including Terry Ryan and many others. If you want to book your foursome, have loads of fun and raise money for Hockey's Heroes, which gets kids playing in the games, which is fantastic in all sports. Go to hockeyheroesgame.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start here in the city. And as the MLB draft rolls on, a pair of Riverhawks drafted today. Ryan Majdick has been selected in the 14th round, heading to the Oakland Athletics. And Gavin Smith selected in the 17th round. He will be staying here in Canada with the Toronto Blue Jays. Frank Saravelli has reported that St. Louis Blues defenseman Torrey Krug was diagnosed with pre-arthritic issues in his ankle, according to the club themselves. They are hoping for non-surgical intervention, but he is currently out indefinitely, and if surgery is required, he will miss the entire season. Other news in the NHL is the Vancouver Canucks have reached a 2-year deal with playoff starter Arthur Shilovs. He has signed a 2-year deal with an AAV of $850,000. MLB All-Star Game goes tonight. The NL and AL getting set to go against each other in just under an hour's time here. First pitch at 6 p.m. Mountain. Corbin Burns and Paul Skeens will be the two starters on the mound in that one. NFL news as the Chicago Bears have signed their first two first-round selections. Caleb Williams, the quarterback taken first overall, has signed a 4-year, $39 million deal, and Rome Odunze has signed a 4-year, $22.7 million deal with the club. Other news in the NBA, former Raptors guard Gary Trent Jr. has signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. In Hour 4, we'll be joined by Mark Spector and Rick LeLacheur on the Jason Gregor Show. I'm Declan Kruger. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Mr. Rooter sends his daughter to university.
You're sure you don't want to go to plumbing school?
No, Dad. I want to be a civil engineer so I can plan the sewers.
What a dreamer. I have a surprise. Your dad, Mr. Rooter, is going to pay your tuition.
Oh my gosh, really?
Here you go.
Oh, coins. Why are they so dirty?
Well, it's every coin I ever snaked out of a toilet. You're welcome, sweetheart.
For an A-plus plumbing experience, call Mr. Rooter.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
CW Eves Troughing is busy. That's why they're looking for experienced troughers to run one of their trucks. To get paid top rates, contact CW Eves Troughing at 780-435-1492 or email info@cweves.com.
Are you an expert in flat roofing or sheet metal fabrication and installation? Albatross Roofing and Construction wants to hire you. Candidates must have SBS modified bitumen experience and valid CSTS certification. Enjoy excellent wages, benefits, and career progression. Submit your application at roofingalbatross.ca today.
Think of us as the opening act for Kevin Carius. This is Jonas Knox from Fox Sports.
Join me, Brady Quinn, and LeVar Arrington weekday mornings from 4 to 7. It's two pros and a cup of Joe right here on Sports 1440.
This summer, as the sun shines, the grass will grow. You'll find a wide selection of Echo summer cleanup equipment at the Lawnmower Hospital. From grass trimmers and chainsaws to log splitters and multi-tool systems. All backed by Echo's outstanding 5-year consumer warranty. Make summer yard care a breeze with Echo and the Lawnmower Hospital. LawnmowerHospital.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
Hey, Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. It's our final clear out of classic Ram 1500 trucks, and I do mean final. This is your last chance to get 25% off a brand new Ram truck. We still have some inventory left, but when they're gone, they're really gone. Or get an iconic Jeep Wrangler with up to $7,500 off. 0% financing available on every model. And we have a couple of the rare 500 horsepower 392 Wranglers in stock now. St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge, Edmonton's best rated Ram and Jeep dealers.
Young teacher, the subject of schoolgirl fantasy. She wants to so badly, knows what she wants to be. Inside her.
Gregor. Declan Kruger with you on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. You can always get involved. You can text us 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our well inbox. And remember, it's Tuesday. $60 million up for grabs in Lotto Max tonight. You're sitting it on the deck. It's hot. Got some time. They get your tickets. 60 mil. Ooh. Hey, maybe you could buy the Elks. Dare to dream. Wouldn't even cost that much. Probably about a quarter. Let's get to the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. And hey, you want to hit the lottery and places to work? Place just celebrated 50 years. Great atmosphere, especially if you love sports. They love sports. So yeah, get involved. Whether you're just starting out or a top woman, top foreman, you've been a foreman, you've got lots of experience. They got it all. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Constructions as we welcome back to the show, Mark Spector. And Spec, we had Keith Gretzky on the program earlier talking about, Matthew Savoy. And, if let's be honest, I don't think he's going to make the orders out of training camp, just looking at the roster and looking at his age and the need to play a lot. There's not a chance that he's going to play a lot of minutes here unless there's a rash of injuries in training camp. So I think it goes down to Bakersfield. He'll play a lot of minutes down there. Is there a prospect outside of Savoy that intrigues you that you'll be watching their progress in Bakersfield this year?
Oh, that's a good question, because this is such a hard team to make, Jason, right? There's just no spots to call up some young guy and like they used to do. Let's try this young guy because we're not winning anyway. They got a lot of veteran guys here that are hard to take out of the lineup. So I think, frankly, that one of the most interesting guys for me, like a guy like Bo Akey, he's not going to play up here this year unless there's significant injuries, right? I like that prospect. I think he's an interesting cat. Probably the guy that's got the best chance of filling in. And maybe if the right people get injured, would probably be Lavoie, wouldn't it? Be Raphael Lavoie. Is he not by far the most NHL ready guy they have down there?
Yeah, he's close. I think Noah Philp might be in that conversation, but yeah, I think Lavoie is probably the most NHL ready if I had to rank him. James Hamlin did play 31 NHL games last year, so he'd be another one for the Oilers. Bo Akey's going back to junior for sure because he can't go to the American League. So I like Noah Philp. Honestly, my answer, like I kind of know what Lavoie is. I think he's going to play here at some point, but Noah Philp is the guy I'm very intrigued by. 6'3", right shot centerman, good away from the puck. And I don't overlook the fact that, the Golden Bears connection, you have a coach who respects that league spec and won't look at it like, well, yeah, but he only played at U of A, right? Like I do think at times there's some people in the hockey world that look at U Sports and are like, oh, well, geez, it couldn't be that good. He was playing at U Sports at 22, right? But geez, he's playing in NCAA. Well, it's way better. And I always kind of chuckle at that.
Yeah, I remember Noah Philp sat out last season, right?
Yes.
So this is a guy he's missed his 21-year-old season. So I'm not telling you he can't progress and be a guy that is in line for a call-up, but I have a feeling that's not happening until the second half of the season. This kid needs to get back on his feet, get back into hockey, start playing pro hockey again. And you're right, the connection is there. I mean, they got Derek Ryan, already a former U of A guy. They got a U of A head coach, so probably Noah Philp's in the right place, put it that way, but he's got to get back into hockey here. This guy took a year off. I don't see him coming up anytime before February.
Yeah, well, the good news was it's not an injury, right? Like you're not rehabbing an injury at all, and I think that's I don't know if he was training and working out, who knows? But when you're out without an injury, I just think it might be a little bit different, right? Like you get your timing back and away you go. So you're right, he might not be up later, but I will say this: I just look at their Oilers' current fourth line center spot. And I think that's definitely a spot that, a guy could come in. Like Derek Ryan's going to have to be on his toes here, right? We saw how little he played down the stretch for them. And even in the games he did play, I think that's a job that a young guy could push for sure.
Well, out of the Game 7 lineup, an option at center was Ryan McLeod. He was in and out of center ice position. Sam Carrick had played some center ice on that fourth line. Both those guys are gone, right? It's really your fourth line center is Derek Ryan here. So as the season progresses, they either have to probably come up with a viable option at some point, or like they did at the trade deadline, go out and get the next Sam Carrick, whoever that might be.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely something they could do at the deadline for sure. Or they might just promote from within, right? Because Noah Philp's not 21, right? I think that's the other advantage. He's a little bit older of a prospect for them. And you're right. Like, hey, they're in a win now mode, no question. But that's why I think Noah Philp might come up in December spec. And you know what? Hey, we've seen other teams do it. Jake Gensel had no NHL experience. He went up on their top line and they won it. And they were a Stanley Cup winner. And he did it the next year. So there are some times if you have guys from the minors that can come up and fill a hole and play well, right? Like Philip Broberg came in, who thought he was going to end up being a top 4 defenseman at the end of the playoffs. So and it's not like they're asking Noah Philp to be dominant. They're just thinking he could be a fourth line center. So it is something to consider. I think that's a guy who, to me, I'll be watching closely this year to see where his progression is. We are going to have Rick LeLacheur come up here after you today. We had Jed Roberts on earlier. Mondo Sewell's in. The defensive line coach is out. He resigned. So obviously he was a Chris Jones guy. Chris Jones is gone. What's your expectations for them? Do you think we're going to see a significant difference in coaching or philosophy at all?
Oh, that's a fair question. I mean, is Jackson's offense going to be much different than it was when he was offensive coordinator? I have a hard time thinking it will be. Their issues are on the defensive side of the ball, their biggest issues for sure. So can Sewell help with a pass rush? I suppose he can. That pass rush wasn't good enough. So I would say this to you. I don't foresee a ton of changes on the offensive side of the ball because I think they got to focus on defense. And if there aren't changes on the defensive side of the ball, the team won't win games. You got to get better in the secondary. You got to get better down the middle, and you got to get more pass rush on the opposing quarterback because you're giving up 35 a game or whatever they're giving up. It's just too many.
Spec, I know you're a big baseball guy. Some big news today for some local guys here from Edmonton. So a big shout out to Owen Pote and Eric Hartman, who were drafted, both local guys, drafted today in the MLB draft.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Have a couple of Edmonton kids get drafted. Do they still keep running that draft until people just stop drafting?
That I don't know. I thought it's like 30 rounds though. Pote was a 19th rounder for the Cincinnati Reds is where he went to, and then Hartman was drafted. I think he was drafted just after him, and he went to the Atlanta Braves.
There's also a kid the Cubs picked, I forget his name, who had played for the Riverhawks. He's their first guy that ever got drafted. So you know what? All of this is good for baseball. It's good for growth. We got kids coming out of Edmonton are getting drafted. We got guys playing for the Riverhawks getting drafted. Baseball's going somewhere. It's nice to see. I'm as a guy that spent a lot of time in Edmonton baseball circles years ago, no one ever got drafted out when I was a kid playing out of here. I can tell you that. So someone's doing a good job somewhere, man.
Oh, God. You know what? Hey, just more opportunities, right? I know, having talked to Crusher about the improvements in baseball academies and just baseball coaching in general in Alberta and in Canada and Edmonton area, right? So you got a kid from Sherwood Park and Pote. You got a kid from Hartman and St. Albert. And, that's outstanding. And you know what? Good for them. And then you mentioned, for fans who go see the Riverhawks, they had a player from their team who played with them last year get drafted. So, it's what it does is it continually gives hope to those others playing and say, hey, look, he did it. Maybe I can do it. And
it's like we were talking about with Canadian soccer the other day, Jay. Yeah. These guys, when Hartman goes back to that Legion Diamond up in St. Albert and walks through there when the midget AAAs are playing or at the Tiger tournament or whatever he's doing, all those kids can look and say, hey, look at that kid. He grew up on this diamond just like I'm growing up on this diamond. He got drafted. And that tangible guy, in soccer, the Alphonso Davies that comes back to Edmonton and the kids can look up to him. And now some baseball players and the kids can look up to him. And it's, it's not just a fairy tale, man. These are real guys coming out of here getting drafted. And it just helps everybody believe that little bit more, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's fantastic. Spec, have a great day. We will chat with you tomorrow.
Thanks, Jake.
That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report. So, yeah, a big shout out again to the Pote family and the Hartman family. That's a thrill for them. No question. It's not very often that you have local guys drafted in the MLB draft. So, just like it is in the NHL, it's a long road from here, but that's a great accomplishment. So you take a moment, you celebrate, you have a good time, and then you get back at it. So you got Hartman, who's a hitter, and you got Pote, who's a pitcher. And that's we'll be following them and see where they go from here. When we return, where are the Elks going from here? Their president and CEO, Rick LeLacheur, will join us, made the decision to fire Chris Jones yesterday. And we'll talk about that. We'll also discuss how close are they to a sale. That's up next on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
The sports world never clocks out. Neither do we. Sports 1440 has you covered with Fox Sports tonight after 9 and all weekend long. So when you're ready to head home, we're warming up again. Sports 1440, bringing you an all-star performance every day.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk. Elevate your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Rule number 116.
In Waterton, walk with a lean. The wind will always prop you up. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Are you an expert in flat roofing or sheet metal fabrication and installation? Albatross Roofing and Construction wants to hire you. Candidates must have SBS modified bitumen experience and valid CSTS certification. Enjoy excellent wages, benefits, and career progression. Submit your application at roofingalbatross.ca today.
You adore your Audi, value your Volkswagen, baby your Beamer. But some of that love fades when repairs take several days and tons of cash for the dealership to do their magic. Let Cochran's Automotive rekindle the flame. They'll professionally repair your import, usually in one day. Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Honda, and Toyota. Cochran's Automotive will return her to mint condition. Open at 7 a.m. Let Cochran's Automotive repair your automotive air conditioning before things heat up. Cochran's Automotive, 780-452-5001.
The Bricks Big Block Party is back with incredible pricing on items in every department. Find up to 25% off dining and bedroom packages, up to 40% off mattresses, and up to $840 off sectionals and sofas. Also, from Thursday to Monday, shop our fantastic specialty 5-day deals and find everything you need to outfit your home this summer. Plus, on Saturday, July 20th, enjoy free pop and all beef hot dogs, specialty sales, and family fun activities. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Before every big interview, every big presentation, every big moment, I've always looked in the mirror and put on my game face. But lately, my eyes look tired, my brow looks old, and I'm starting to think it's game over.
Stop thinking and start seeing Dr. Vance Elliott for skin refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance.
He didn't make me look weird. No, he gave me back my game face.
Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Weed Johnson,
Hi, Dennis from Weeks Johnson here. We all know how unpredictable Edmonton weather is. Extended falls to late winters, and who knows what spring and summer will bring. Regardless of the outdoors, your indoors will be comfortable with Weiss Johnson and Goodman. Whether it's a new Goodman air conditioner, heat pump, or furnace, using our expertise, we'll give you the best quote on Goodman products with no misleading information or offers. Just what's best for your family. Visit wjcools.com today.
Hey, it's Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. It's our final clear out of classic Ram 1500 trucks, and I do mean final. This is your last chance to get 25% off a brand new Ram truck. We still have some inventory left, but when they're gone, they're really gone. Or get an iconic Jeep Wrangler with up to $7,500 off. 0% financing available on every model. And we have a couple of the rare 500 horsepower 392 Wranglers in stock now. St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge, Edmonton's best rated Ram and Jeep dealers.
On Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, as it's time now to get to the Elks Report, brought to you by Volvo Cars, Edmonton.com, Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, 13 years, Excellence Award winner in sales and service. You can get great deals right now, or if you like, you can save up to $6,000 on XC90s. Check it out only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. As we welcome the president and CEO of the Edmonton Elks, Rick LeLacheur, to the show. Rick, welcome back. How you doing?
Hey, Jason. Good. How are you?
I am excellent. Rick, a big decision yesterday as you elect to fire Chris Jones and promote G. Roy Simon and Jarius Jackson to interim GM and head coach respectively. Kind of walk us through the decision and why it was the right time.
Okay, well, the decision, this is the measurable in this business is wins and losses. It's not close. Sure. And we know we've been close for particularly the last 3 games. I don't think any of us have ever seen 3 walk-off losses in a row, maybe in football ever, anywhere. So, but the record speaks for itself. And as they say, the record's a record. So we're 0-5. We just had to try something, and our record wasn't very good the last 2 years. So felt it was just time to move on from Chris. I know he worked very hard in trying to put a roster together and then a team together, and I know he felt bad that he couldn't have won more games, but it just seemed like the right time to me. And the reason now, and they will see, the proof will be in the pudding, but as I told the team when I talked to them, I said when you lose, in some cases, you just want to get back on the field and play again. So this was a short week. We play back-to-back, so there's not a lot of preparation as much. And because of the short week, it's going to be just really walkthroughs and mental reps. So get those in and then get on the airplane and get ready to play in Ottawa and win a game.
So Rick, there was talk that, everybody knows you're deep in talks about a sale, right? So when you make a decision like this, and even though nothing's officially signed, and I know a deal isn't a deal till it's signed, and did you have conversations with the prospective buyers about this decision?
Yes, it's just an interesting thing. So I just felt that. You usually break up the season, Jason, to thirds, and we're 1 game away from the first third of the season. And I'm not about to give up on this season. I think we've got too good a team to just give up on it. So I felt the time was right. So because, as you say, a deal's not a deal until it's signed, the board of directors of the Elks are still responsible. So I went to them first and made the recommendation and told them that based on the recommendation, because of our situation, I would be discussing with our potential buyer groups. And once we got past the board yesterday morning, I talked to the potential future owners and said, this is the recommendation. And we had good chats. And from that point, they all agreed with my recommendation, so we went forward and made all the arrangements to proceed with Giwar as the acting general manager and Jarius as the acting head coach.
So, Rick, can you take us through the process now as far as the sale goes? Here it is, July 16th. Do you think you're a month away? You're 2 months away? Do you have kind of an idea, ballpark, on when you think this might be closed?
Yeah, I think in the next couple months. I think I'm pretty sure, and you're never 100% sure, but I think we can get it done before sometime during the season. I'd like to get it done by Labor Day if we could, but if you can't, you can't. So it's a long process. We started it with a lot of interested parties. We're down in numbers now, and it's a unique situation being a not-for-profit. It actually goes back to a real old Alberta government rule of not-for-profit. So you can't really sell the company. You have to sell the assets. Mm-hmm. You have to sell the assets of the company. So there's a fair amount of work to do it and due diligence work on both sides. Well, 3 sides really, because the CFL will be interested in from a due diligence perspective on who the new owners are. So unfortunately, that just takes time, and then you get into lawyers' work, and that takes time more. So there's no magic date that we want to get done by, just as quickly as we can.
Rick LeLacheur joins us now. Rick, from numerous sources, I've been told that maybe it's down to 2 parties. Is that fair or accurate that you've whittled it down to 2? Well,
it's close. I've heard 3 names today. as you know, I think I just arrived in Toronto for a CFL meeting, so I heard 3 different names on the airplane today from different people. So there seems to be a lot of names out there. So we're not about to, we've all signed a non-disclosure agreement, so we're not about to disclose who the parties are, but we're down in numbers, and I think they're workable to whoever we may be in discussions with. So it'll be just when we get the deal done and the paper signed, that's when we'll announce it.
Rick, what's the benefit of keeping it quiet and not having the interested parties public?
Well, from a first point of view, I think the other parties may not want it. I think you start floating that stuff in, then it's just not fair to the parties if they're not into a public negotiation. And, many business deals are done without anybody knowing about it and just announced when they happen. And, I can only go by my experience in particular BC with Amar Doman. He did not want his name floated at all. And because it wasn't a deal until the papers were signed. In that case, we signed the papers and walked outside and announced it. So I think it's one of those things, Jason, that it's not fair to the individuals that their name's bandied about. And then if it doesn't happen, then what happens. So I think all parties are on non-disclosure agreements, and we're going to leave it at that.
Rick LeLacheur joins us. Rick, is it fair to say that you would like local ownership?
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
yeah,
like that's.
No, I think, it's sure, for sure. We'd rather, and I can tell you originally there was a lot of interest from the U.S. There's great interest in the U.S. in buying sports franchises. It's crazy. But, a lot of these big funds are trying to get into sports franchises. Some of the big name players that have retired, they're trying to get into sports franchises. So, but the board, right from the start, our objective was to try to make sure that it was local, or at least somebody that knows the local community. Pardon me. So that's the way we headed right from the start.
And Rick, you mentioned that you don't want to give up on the season. I was sitting in the stands on Sunday, and it was a very entertaining game. Right up until 8 seconds, the team ties it. The fans are going crazy. They love it. And then obviously it was a terrible final 8 seconds. I still sense there's a lot of people that want to support the team. They're not ready yet for a variety of reasons. I think that, the change into an owner, there'll be lots of people that'll say, all right, you know what, I'll support them now just because. Also, winning some games, though, at the end of the day is probably the biggest factor. And you mentioned that the season wasn't lost, but just the fact your team's 8-33 under Jones, which is like the worst winning percentage of anybody who's ever coached 30 games in a row for a team, because most of them don't last that long. Was it just, there's just too much losing and something had to give?
Yes, yeah, for sure, and it's we all know it's not a good record. You know that, and we were, some people have asked why I didn't handle it last year, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do with the club last year when I came in September. We weren't sure what the future was going to bring, so it's taken maybe longer than we thought, but we got into this year in the season and did some good signings and thought we had a lot better team than we had last year, which we do. But at the end of the day, the record's 0-5. So I just felt that we can't wait any longer and let's move on.
And Rick, you mentioned you're in Toronto for the meetings. What's on the agenda?
This is the normal summer meeting of the presidents. So we look at a lot of things of going forward and what the planning pardon me, of what the planning is for 2025. So we'll have a good discussion between the 9 of us and the CFL about what our priorities are for next year and ticket sales and sponsorship. And there's nothing on the agenda that has to be voted on or anything for this season in particular.
Okay, so there's nothing pressing, no big changes are expected, is what you're saying?
No.
Okay. Rick, we appreciate your time. Enjoy Toronto, and I'm guessing you'll be going from there to Ottawa and maybe seeing the first win of the season.
Exactly.
Thanks. That's
Sounds
Rick.
good.
You betcha. Rick LeLacheur, the president and CEO of the Edmonton Elks. So, hey, I wasn't ready to give up on the season yet. Had too much losing. They reached out to the groups that are interested. I've heard it's 2. And my understanding is, one group's an individual. The other group is a few they're all local business owners, which I think is extremely important, massively important. You need somebody who understands the community. I think there's going to be somewhat of a trust is probably too strong of a word, but understanding that the person who buys the team cares as much about the team as the fans that they want to pay money to come and see. And I think that's going to be important. There's not going to be a magic wand by whoever the new owner is that, they're going to have a magic wand and boom, everything's going to change overnight. There's lots of areas that need to improve. And the great news is, I think the areas that need improving are very capable of being improved. I'm still a big believer they could easily get to the point, no, not instantly, but you create a good product with proper pricing and everything else, and the lower bowl, 30,000 people, I think it's, now it might be just above, it might be 32, but that to me is a number that for years in Edmonton was very attainable. Now, not every game will be sold out. I understand that there's certain games that draw better than others. But honestly, I won't be surprised to see big crowds come back. And they're all going to be situated in lower bowl to start. Create a little supply and demand, which is nice. There's still a big football community. And if you have a successful team, and then you're going to have a new owner, I'm assuming they're going to have some plans to do some things different. But more important than anything, I believe there'll be lots of people who want to show support because somebody stepped up to keep the team here. And that's totally fair, and I think it's valid. And they deserve this. It's not like the person that's buying this team is expecting that, it's going to be worth 3 times as much in 10 years, and this is just an investment purchase. That's not how I see it at all. This is an investment in the community, one, where it's not necessarily going to be an investment for the bottom line. I don't believe the ROI for any business people out there. Usually when you buy a business, you believe that you're going to get a good ROI. This is more of a emotional ROI. And there's value in that. Make no mistake. And I think the people that are buying this understand that. We'll take a quick break. We'll return on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. We got a lot of text flying in, 833-401-1440 in our inbox. They are your partner in power since 1976. EWEL.ca.
Albatross Roofing and Construction has immediate job openings for skilled flat roofers and sheet metal fabricators and installers. If you have SBS modified bitumen experience and CSTS certification, they want you. Get a great wage, benefits, steady work, and upward growth. Apply at roofingalbatross.ca today.
The sports world never clocks out. Neither do we. Sports 1440 has you covered with Fox Sports tonight after 9 and all weekend long. So when you're ready to head home, we're warming up again. Sports 1440, bringing you an all-star performance every day.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
The 100% Canadian beef McDonald's Western Barbecue Quarter Pounder is quite the mouthful. So Who better to sell it in 30 seconds than a 100% Canadian auctioneer?
Oh, mercy, it's back. 100% Canadian beef, topped with delicious smoky barbecue sauce and bacon. Who wants bacon? We got hickory smoked bacon strips, crispy onions. Who wants pickles? Not one down, better than 2 slices of processed cheddar cheese, served on a toasted sesame seed bun, and did so for a limited time at participating McDonald's restaurants in Western Canada.
Does your bank do local? We do. When you bank with Vision Credit Union, you're banking with a rural Albertan cooperative that cares about the community where you live. There's no question. We actively support our rural communities at the local level through charitable donations, volunteerism, local team and event sponsorships, and by returning millions in profit shares to our members every year. Does your bank do that? We do local. Bank with Vision Credit Union. VisionCU.ca.
An accident. And it wasn't your fault.
How do I get the compensation and support I need?
I can't work. Now what?
Is there any funding available while I'm recovering?
Is childcare covered? Can't I have a moment to myself? I need to feel better.
It feels like no one has my back.
Robinson LLP does. Visit RobinsonLLP.com to find your injury lawyer. Robinson LLP, the recovery team.
All that. Of course, we just had Rick LeLacheur on talking about the Jones firing. Jed Roberts on earlier just talking about some of the systemic breakdowns and miscues that he has seen as a former player on the field defensively for the green and gold. And that's why there's concern. So we'll see. Hey, Gregor, do you believe Cates is interested from Cameron? I have not heard that the OEG is down to the wire here. No, my understanding is they are not involved in this one at all. So there we go. Hey, Gregor, that was a great interview with Rick. I actually appreciated your direct questions and his ability to answer them. Keep it up. From Wesley. Hey, Wesley, appreciate that. I was like having Rick's old school. He's not afraid. You know what? Hey, I made the move. Was tired of losing. Got to make some decisions. Now, again, Jones has to take credit for the record. No doubt in my mind. We will see. I'm never a believer that it's just one person. However, one move can make a significant difference for a lot of things. Look at the Edmonton Oilers. Do I think Jay Woodcroft was the reason the Oilers were losing? No. But there were some things that were red flags. I go back to the playoffs against Eichel. I didn't like the not matching up McDavid against Eichel's line. When Chris Knobloch took over, and it wasn't just Woodcroft because they also brought in Paul Coffey. And I think Paul Coffey brought a different attitude and a different style. As Matthias Ekholm said, he goes, Dave Manson helped us on the being a hard defensively factor, but Paul Coffey really pushed us over that we need to make more plays factor. And it worked. The Oilers were obviously a good team. It's not like the coach just suddenly made him better. They played up to their capabilities for sure, but they calmed some things down. I think they silenced a little bit of noise. So this is different. You're not bringing anybody in from the outside. Now, maybe in this case, because they are on the inside, they will see what the issues were, because even though you're a coaching staff, you don't always agree on everything. And if you're not the head coach, guess what? You have to abide by what the head coach wants, even if you don't like it sometimes. Even like, well, I disagree with the decision. I played it, and the coach wants that guy. Well, you got to do it. So we'll see. I don't see any massive changes. I know people are wondering, hey, Gregor, do you think Trey Ford comes in? I do not. I fully expect Bethel Thompson to start that game. Now, and we had Jarius Jackson on earlier, right? So my understanding is that Trey Ford has been the one who has said, I don't want in on select packages. So basically it's kind of like it's all or nothing, which I'm kind of like, pardon? I might be like, hey, Trey, we got to have a conversation here. We're paying you to be on the team. We're not paying you to only play in the exact formation that you want to play. It's not how it works. So we'll see. Is that something that can be communicated better? Again, he doesn't play defense. The Elks have scored 36 points lost, scored 34 points lost in 2 of their last 3 games. So I don't believe that offense is their main weakness. I would like to not have to wait as long as they have in games to try to get Geno Lewis involved. I still think that's something that would help this team. Nothing wrong with being aggressive early on. So I would definitely be considering that for sure. 833-401-1440. Lots more text flying in. Hey guys, I have to say, I remember this time last year, I was driving around lost. Still great to have Sports Talk Radio. Just want to say it. Thanks again from Dan. Well, Dan, we appreciate that, my man. Yeah, that's right. I guess it was it was the darkness of summer last year after what happened. So we are happy to bring Sports Talk Radio back. And well, there's a few new announcements coming in the fall too. So we made the plan when we started that, you know what, we started out with our shows, and I said then we're going to grow, and there was going to be more sports, and so then we added Fox, and then it was 24 on the weekends, and then we added Sir Show on the weekend. It's Saturday morning with Connor and Declan and those guys at 9, which is great. Now we have Turn Sports, so it's 24/7. We'll be adding more local content in the fall, which is fantastic because we're in a market where sports really matters. And hey, if you're an advertiser and you want to talk to the community, not many better loyal listeners than ours. They listen loyally all the time. I can tell you by the text line. I can tell you by our streaming numbers. It's been massive. People watching on Orders Nation, people YouTube and Facebook, watching on our Twitter. The numbers just continue to grow, which is fantastic. And I know we're in a sports mad community. Obviously, the people care immensely about the Orders, but many of you just care about sports. The Elks, the Riverhawks, the Stingers, all the university teams, Nate, right, junior football, all down the line. There's lots of great sports fans in this community, which is fantastic. And so we you want to give them what they want. And I guess we all recognized last summer we knew what we didn't want, and that was non-sports radio. So good to have it back. Guys, last summer was terrible. No sports were norm. The worst. Don't let it happen again. Well, you keep listening, right? Support the sponsors, and then, there's a really good chance. Although that wasn't the reason why it shut down in the past. Let's make that abundantly clear. That was not the reason whatsoever. That was a big decision. That was an incorrect decision based on not wanting to get a new tower when you knew that for many years. So that's just the truth. Have yourselves an awesome night. Hey, enjoy the All-Star game. It's the best of the All-Star games going amongst all the 4 main sports. On behalf of Declan Kruger, Terry Ryan, I'm Jason Gregor. Have yourselves an awesome day. Remember, tomorrow, Who Is It Wednesday? It's going to be a lot of fun. So tune in for that. Let's get to Declan and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer. LegacyHeating.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the baseball world, where as the MLB draft continues to roll on, 2 local products out of the Edmonton area going in this year's draft. Owen Pote of Sherwood Park has gone to the Cincinnati Reds in the 19th round, and Eric Hartman of St. Albert to the Atlanta Braves in the 20th round. Also of note, 2 Edmonton Riverhawks players drafted today. Ryan Majdick was drafted in the 14th round to the Oakland Athletics, and Gavin Smith, the infielder, who was drafted by Canada's own Toronto Blue Jays in the 17th round. NHL news is the St. Louis Blues have announced defenseman Torrey Krug was diagnosed with pre-arthritic issues in his ankle. The team and Torrey are hoping for non-surgical intervention, but he is currently out indefinitely, and if surgery is required, he will miss the entire season. Vancouver Canucks have reached a 2-year deal with Arthur Shelofs on a 2-year $850,000 deal in the NFL. Big signings today from last year's draft for the Chicago Bears. First overall pick, Caleb Williams, signing on with a 4-year, $39 million entry-level deal. Rome Odunze, the Washington wide receiver product, also drafted in the first round by the Bears, signing on for a 4-year, $22.7 million entry-level deal. MLB All-Star Game goes tonight as the NL and AL throw out the first pitch in about 5 minutes time here. Corbin Burns and Paul Skeens will be the 2 on the mound in this one. Basketball news, as former Raptors guard Gary Trent Jr. will be signing with the Milwaukee Bucks on a 1-year deal, and Pat Beverly has signed with the Israeli team Hopel Tel Aviv of the Israeli Basketball League. Also of note in the NBA world, Jelly Bean Bryant, the father of Kobe Bryant, has passed away at 69 years old. And James Dolan, the New York Knicks owner, has criticized the new NBA media deal of $76 billion, calling it unviable for owners of the clubs. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Turn Sports is up next. The Kevin Carrier Show returns tomorrow at 7 a.m. Fox Sports Radio at 9. On behalf of Jason Gregor, I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.